Story time. So, this is my podcast and everything like that. So I usually just use this time to kind of like throw in some randomness, trigger people by saying that that KFC is, better than Popeyes, even though I don't mean it. But in this time, I'm just going to rant. So y'all just get to hang back for a little bit as people pile in. So let me tell y'all about the last 48 hours of my weekend. First off, I would like to just shout out my little brother. Hey, Lawrence, happy birthday. You're 26 years old. I don't know how you put shirts on without a chin. That's besides the point. So let's talk about this real quick. So I had my beautiful, 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 beautiful niece, Lyric. Everybody knows my niece, Lyric. Everybody through Patreon, all my community groups, pretty much if y'all have a smartphone and you know me, you have seen my niece. Anyway, nobody told me that this little girl, when she doesn't get sleep, is like Stitch. She is the absolute worst. Nope, we're doing story time. I said what I said. So my niece apparently has nightmares. Why does she have nightmares? That's not important. We don't really need to know the source of the problem or what the origin and story and, what character they decided to use for the layout of this story. It's still trifling. Anyway, this baby randomly starts screaming in the middle of the night. And I'm like praying in the blood of Jesus, in the name of Jesus, in the name of Obi-Wan Kenobi. I'm like, can somebody please stop this child from crying? I can't give the baby peanut butter. She's only 8 months. She might die, asphyxiate because her esophagus closed up. That's besides the point. So every 5 seconds, she's letting out ad libs like Little John in a funeral home with a megaphone, and I can't sleep. Do you understand me? I can't sleep. It is horrible. Yeah, it's bad. It was bad. It really ain't funny though, because I was upset. For those that were on Zoom with me, as they were like, guys, you were like, Casper, please don't kill the baby. I won't kill the baby. That's ridiculous. I didn't want to kill the baby, but I definitely wanted to put the baby in the sleeper hole just so it go to sleep and I could go to sleep. That's besides the point. Today happens, as in Monday happens. And I guess I said what I said. Monday happens, and this baby apparently can operate off of like 2 hours of sleep, right? I got like maybe like an hour and a half before somebody called me early this morning, and I still had crust in my eyes, and I didn't even pick my wedgie and thank the Lord for another day. That's besides the point. I put the baby on the ground so I could relax for a second and I can clean up real quick. Pee, poop, adult things. That's important. Wipe my butt, because you can't wipe butts with infants around. Anybody that told you, yes, I said Obi-Wan Kenobi, leave me alone. If anybody told you can wipe your butt with infants around, they lying. You got to bounce them on your leg while you squeezing out a little bit of something. That's besides the point. So this baby becomes one with the dogs. They said they threw me to the wolves. I came back the alpha. Shorty was like, grabbing one of these dogs' faces. This one to be in particular. Look at this poor thing. Traumatized to this day. That's besides the point. She's grabbing this poor dog's face and is just yanking it around for like maybe like 13 seconds. I did count because I was trying to figure out why this dog wasn't attacking her, why he wasn't snapping. I don't know. Out of nowhere, because a couple of these are not, potty trained or housebroken or whatever, I'm trying to say. Hey, look, I'm mad. You gotta let me get this out. And this also gives my guest time to kind of settle down, what I'm saying? Get in her prayers, her spirits, whatever that really means. If she needs to smoke a blizzy, drink some drink, do whatever she needs to do. All I ask is that she doesn't get naked. So far, she's not naked because I can see her on my monitors. That's besides the point. And she's laughing, so that means she's loosening up a little bit. That's good. So, the dog poops on the puppy pad. Why? It's a puppy pad for the puppy to poop. Lyric, my niece, my sweet, sweet niece, grabs the turd, holds it up like this in her hand and just squeezes it. And she's just like, ah, it's awful. It is literally the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. I was like, somebody needs to throw the baby away. Like, the baby needs to go. We need to control-alt-delete the baby. I can't do it. I don't love her that much anymore. I loved her 100%. It went down to 89%. You understand me? So while I'm trying to grab this baby, as I'm trying to grab this baby and walk her to the, the sink real quick to like clean her off, because she's got poop on her face. There's poop on the baby's face. You understand me? Let me get this off. Let me get this off. There's poop on the baby's face, and I trip over this little teacup dog. Where's he at? Where's he at? Oh, he's hiding because I'm talking about him. I call him Tulsa. We're just gonna say his name is Tulsa because Tulsa is the death to black people. That dog tried to kill me. Dog tried to kill me 2 times this week. You understand me? That dog tripped me on marble. I fell on my butt. Well, really my back, because I have this area where my legs meet. That's where my butt cheeks is supposed to be. No cushion for the pushing on the ground, and I collided with the earth. It hurt. It was bad. It was bad. It was bad. It was bad. I dropped my phone in the process as I'm trying to get this all together and everything like that. It was Tulsa. It was Tulsa that did this. You know exactly who I'm talking about. And I dropped my phone in the doggy bowl. So my phone has to sit in oatmeal because I dropped my phone in the doggy bowl as it had like a piece of like, I don't know what it was. I think it was like a kibble. It was a piece of kibble just getting obese in the water, swelling up and everything like that. It was weird. I didn't like it. I just dropped my phone off maybe about 45 minutes ago. It has a stuttering problem like Moses in the Bible, but that's okay because we're going to get into this work. And yeah. The moral of the story is Black fathers matter. We're just going to drop it off with that because Uncle Casper did not want to go through that today. And I get daddy had to work. I get mommy had to work. But let me tell you something. That's your blessing. You understand me? Yeah, that's your blessing. That squeeze poop in her hands like Play-Doh. I didn't appreciate that. Let's drop the intro real quick. Every time I go in, every time I go in, every time I go in, I'm jealous. Every time I go in, every time I go in, every time I go in, I'm jealous. I'm mad, I'm a kid. I'm mad, I'm a kid. I'm mad, I'm a kid, man. I'm jealous. I'm mad, I'm a kid. I'm mad, I'm a kid. I'm mad, I'm a kid, man. I'm jealous. Welcome, everybody, to the Kid Casper podcast. I'm your gracious, beautiful, blessed, beloved, and black host, the kid they call Casper. The KID in Kid Casper stands for King of Development. I'm that menace with the melanin. Reject me as I am, as long as he is still relevant. If this is your first time tuning in today, hello, I'm the kid that they call Casper. I'm a Christian raptivist. Yes, rapper / activist. I love Jesus. Far from a pacifist. I need Jesus. I'm super far from a pacifist. Try Jesus. Try Sammy. Don't try me. You know what I'm saying? Do anything you want to do. Just don't try me. You heard me? Ghostthreads.com. That's how we pay the bills right here. Full-time uncle, apparently. As y'all, I hope y'all like that little story I had and everything like that. It was great. It was oodles and oodles of fun. And if you'd like to support a brother, because I might need to get a new phone and this thing is glitching and it's really weirding me out, sign up for our Patreon. It's just $2 a month. If you have a problem with anything I just said in the intro, it's $2 a month to give me your 2 cents, and you might only last 2 minutes. I don't know. Some of y'all I'm actually really, really scared of. I'm not going to say which one it is. I'm not going to point any fingers. But I just... Some of them have the mindset of swing first, pray second. That's completely beside the point. I ain't calling nobody out. But today, my guest is, I'm just going to lead off with, this is a mother. She's a wife. She's a content creator. She's an activist, multicultural, many things as far as impact, life story that blended her into who I have today as my guest. I might know her as other things, but for the sake of, just being in this creative content space, I get to call her Amethyst. I think I said that right. Did I say it right, please? Okay, cool. I said it right. I was super nervous. I was literally watching the countdown and I was like, I did not ask you how to pronounce that. But everybody, Amethyst is joining us today. Why don't you say hi to the people, sis? And unmute your microphone.
Hi.
Oh, man. First off,
you said it right. Amethyst.
I did say it right. Awesome. Okay, because my dyslexia was hurting so bad, and English is my second language. You do not understand. So first off, I would like to thank you for being here today, because I think I hit you up about this last week, like towards the end of last week. And I was just like, you know what? I think this would be a pretty good conversation. You hopped in a couple of Zooms with my, there's something in the back of my throat. I think it's a demon. I don't know what it is. Um, but, it was crazy. It was God humbling me for talking about my niece for playing with that turd earlier. I don't know.
That's right.
But so I forgot my train of thought. Oh, so we've had a couple of conversations on Zooms, and I know a little bit of just like your thoughts and everything like that. But I thought that this would be fruitful, insightful, educational, to have this conversation because one, I don't have a lot of Indigenous representation in my life, but two, I like to just talk to people. I literally talk for a living. I rap. I have a niece I talk to, and I think that she actually cares about what I say. I have a podcast, and I do protests and stuff. So this is usually the time period in which that you get to introduce yourself. So tell us, what brings you here today and everything like that, and talk to the people real quick.
Okay. I'm Amethyst. I'm 31. I live in the Midwest. I have 3 children who are just as crazy as your niece. They're boys. I have 3 boys. I've been married for 10 years. And I am Native Apache. My tribe is located in the southernmost part of New Mexico and even into Mexico. And yeah, I have been doing activist work since I was about 15. I really started getting into it, and that has brought me to many places and met many people. And TikTok was something that I initially got on just because my sister had it, and I started seeing that it was a really good way to network and to spread a message via social media, because even though I'm an old lady, I have to kind of move with the times. So I started.
No. I don't accept that because this is the first time I heard of your age, and you just said you're 31. Say that one more time.
I'm 31. Yeah.
Okay, so after the podcast, not because I want to steal your credit or anything like that, because you're way prettier than me. I don't believe your age. I need to see some birth dates and everything like that, but that's besides the point. This also proves the fact that when I say that, people of color do not age in dog years, so that's also good. That for those that don't know now, anyway, but
thank you for that, because
I
some mornings
I completely
you're
cut
okay.
you off. My bad.
That's how a conversation works. That's okay. Some mornings I wake up and I feel like I'm in my 50s, so I appreciate that. Thank you, Jessica. But yeah, that's pretty much me. I speak on what I feel. I don't really hold back. I don't really pander to anybody's feelings because I've seen so much hurt and pain happen in my community that I don't have time to pander to anyone's feelings. So I'm kind of in your face, and if you don't like it, sorry. That's kind of me.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So I didn't tell you. I told you I would freestyle these. And I don't know if you've ever watched my podcast before. Have you ever watched any of my episodes?
I started checking it out a couple days ago when you talked about bringing me on, like last week. I started looking at some of your videos.
Okay, cool. So you have no idea what's happening next. So this is where I hit you with the hard grilling questions. So
okay.
my first question is, if you had to pick your favorite Disney princess, what Disney princess would that be?
I was never much into Disney, but I would say I liked Mulan because I always wanted to be a boy. Like as a little girl, I was never very girly, so I really thought it was dope that she was able to pull the wool over everyone's eyes and be a boy for a little bit. So Mulan.
Okay. And considering that you're 31, even though it sounds more conspiracy. It doesn't really sound like gospel, but that's besides the point. So that means you gotta know a little bit of something. So we about to test this out. If you had to pick a starter 6 Pokemon set, what 6 Pokemon would that be?
6 Pokemon. Okay. God, it's been a long time. I don't even know if I can answer that. I watch the movies with my son now, but nothing's coming to mind. I remember like Jigglypuff, and I remember Mewtwo and Charizard and Pikachu. I love Pikachu. I think that's all that comes to mind right now.
Gotcha. All right. And hold on real quick. Queen Key, leave me alone about my questions. This is my podcast. When you get your podcast, you can ask whatever weird questions you want. Like why in the hell do you put mayonnaise on peas? That's besides the point. I'm not dressing you for the rest of the night.
Mayonnaise on peas. Interesting.
Yeah, she eats it. We gotta pray for her. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care what God you worship, but that's not right. That there's something that I will never be able to reconcile.
I don't fuck with peas at all.
Yeah, it's just it's the mayonnaise for me, not the mayonnaise. You know what I'm saying? It's just
can't do it.
Can't do that. All righty then. So that was pretty much all my questions I normally ask. So you passed.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? You didn't say anything crazy. Like somebody said, like I think somebody gave like a Disney character for the Pokemon on accident once. I'm not even kidding. It was hilarious. So one of the reasons I wanted to that I've like started this podcast initially is, the first initial reason was, as an artist and everything like that, I, wanted to make this to be a platform for like different, musicians and stuff like that I met in my life and everything, kind of give them a space so the public to get to know them. But right after, I think Ahmaud Arbery, and then especially after George Floyd, it took me to realize, and not so much took that, but for me, it seemed like having these conversations, these difficult conversations, seeking nuance, seeking to understand and not be understood. It felt like for me and my convictions, it would be irresponsible to say you love a God that loves all people and you advocate to love all people, but you don't know all people. So, you being like, not even kidding, one of the few and first, honestly, Indigenous relationships I've semi-established, because I don't know if you like me yet, and I don't know if you see me as like a friend or a weird little brother that has, ashy skin and like a bird chest, but that's besides the point. So I thought that this would be great. And I guess like my first thing I want to ask is, tell me a little bit about, what'd she say? Oh yeah. Key, pray for Key, yo. It doesn't go with veggies. You know what goes with veggies? Water. Like water goes with veggies. Water and salt goes with veggies. We don't mayonnaise. Like stop trying to colonize our food.
To interject really quickly, I told everyone I'm going on my friend's podcast, so absolutely, I consider you a friend.
Oh, that's so sweet. I appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? I really, really do. You know what I'm saying? So what I want to know is, because at the end of the day, this kind of gives me a space to not only have a candid conversation and get to know you, but to also tell like your experience and everything like that. So
yeah,
if you want to, as far back as you can remember, tell me about young Amethyst growing up and everything like that. Let's start.
You know what? To keep it 100 with you, young Amethyst it's a tearjerker. It's not. I didn't have a gentle upbringing. My earliest memory.
Whatever you feel comfortable sharing, that's completely up to you. I also don't play with my panelists, meaning like if I got somebody in my comment section that get crazy, Lead with Love is not just a moniker to me. It is a code. It's an oath I took. So if anybody get crazy, they will get put in timeout. I don't got time for it. At the end of the day, I got to protect not only my mental health, my panelists' mental health. So whatever you are comfortable sharing, that is completely up to you. The screen is yours, my sister.
You lead with love. I lead with chingazos. I will...
Got you.
But so, you know how everyone kind of has like that first memory that they recollect as being the first time that they were in their body and they were in this life. Mine was, so my mom, and I've told you, my mom is not in my life, has never really been in my life. She suffers from an addiction really bad. And so we lived in like cars and like trap houses and just kind of all over the place. And for a little bit, my grandfather took us in and my mom was like sober at the time. So she asked if she could take me to the store. And I remember being really excited because I had two other older sisters and I was the youngest at the time. So it was like, I always felt like I was just kind of ignored, even though maybe I wasn't, but I was a dumb kid. And so she wanted to take me to the store, and so I went with her, and we went to an abandoned house, and she went in the bathroom with like 3 guys and told me to go sit down on the floor. So I sat down on the floor, and then I fell asleep. And when I woke up, there was cops standing over me, shining flashlights in my eyes. And I just remember opening my eyes, and they were taking my mom out in handcuffs. And then they took me back to my grandfather's house, and they had to like inspect me to see if like I had bruises or if anyone had like done anything to me. And so that was my first memory of life, and things just kind of went downhill from there. You can believe that. So yeah, that yeah, little Amethyst she grew up really quickly. She grew up hard and fast, and I think that's why I am who I am today. And I'm thankful for my experiences because it brought me to who I am today, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. So you said, I feel like that's a term, and I'm not saying you're saying it loosely. I think when people say I had to grow up really fast, people don't really get what that means. Like they don't get like the scientific like modification that happens to your mind when you literally have to grow up fast. So if you can like, for you, because I feel like everybody, like I myself had to grow up really fast, like, you know, experience trauma as early as like 5, became an alcoholic as early as 10 years old and everything like that. And then dealing with the turbulence in which I dealt with in my life. But talk about from like, in your perspective, or just to the best of your ability, to pontificate this, what it meant for you, like mentally, like what was going through your mind in this growing up fast transition.
Well, I agree with you in that I feel like a lot of people don't realize that what that essentially means is that you are walking around a being whose frontal, I forget what it's called, is not fully developed. Your frontal or not labia.
I would think it's lobe. I don't even know what a labia is. I'm not going to Google it. Everybody in the comment section, don't Google it, and let's not get weird.
Your frontal lobe is not fully developed. So although you don't have the capacity mentally to be doing adult things, you're doing adult things. And so it gets internalized. And I'm a recovering addict, and that's definitely why, because of my upbringing, because when kids see adult things, they then think that's normal. They normalize it. And so I think growing up fast for me was like thinking that it was normal to sell drugs to help my family, or it was normal to beat the shit out of someone as soon as they disrespected me. And so you're right. People say I had to grow up fast, and I think a lot of people don't really understand that growing up fast is essentially doing adult shit as a child. And that really affects you later on in life, because at 31 years old, I'm at this point where I'm like, what have I not done? As far as, you know, I feel like I've lived the life of like a 50-some-year-old. And I meet other 31-year-olds, and I'm not compatible with them because they can't relate, you know?
Yeah, I get what you mean when you say that. It's that it's kind of like getting thrown in like mighty waves and having to like almost build a callus, but also build a callus and adapt to swimming without somebody teaching you how to swim.
Right. Absolutely.
I definitely get that.
And then like adults are always telling kids, you can be anything you want. You just have to do X, Y, and Z. And when you're a kid who every single example that you've seen is not anything, you know damn well that's not what they wanted. It's kind of, it's hard to believe that. So you get to this point as a child where you're like, you're lying to me. I know you're lying to me, because there's no representation of that in my life. And so yeah, I think it's the kids who grow up fast, we end up when we're older being much more mature than people our own age.
Do you think that's like a gift and a curse in a way? Because like what I've come to learn is like, because I had to process almost circumstances before emotions, I find myself now at 27 years old needing to be almost, I don't know how to describe it. It's like I have to be hypersensitive to my emotions especially in this time period we are dealing with now, being people of color in this country.
Yeah.
But because of how we also got to deal with the stuff that we thought we survived going through growing up. You know what I'm saying?
That part, absolutely. We thought we survived it, and our bodies survived, but our spirits need some fucking work. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's a great point. Absolutely.
Yeah, I heard somebody give a commentary on this. They were saying something along the lines of like, it's like you like thinking you got out of, like, I don't know if you've ever seen Hercules when the pit, I think it was, what's my man's name? The dude with the blue hair, that really ashy skin. He looked like he had eczema
Hades?
from, yeah. Yo, that had like the ashy skin from hell. Like it was eczema from hell. It was bad.
Yeah,
But like, like when you're trying to get out of the pool, there's like all these like arms that like trying to grab onto you. And
yep,
one of the things that people don't really think about is like people can grab you, and you think because they got their hands off of you that they no longer have a grip on you, but they still left scars, they still left scratches.
yeah,
And I think because we were like, we got to get out of the pit, we never thought of what these scars and scratches would do to us
absolutely.
growing up.
Like being abused as a child. I've studied a lot about psychology, and kids who are abused, they oftentimes get into abusive relationships because their initial abuser still has their grip on them, and they think
Mm.
that's normal, and they in fact seek out abusers because that's their norm, and it's really hard to step out of that norm and to retrain your brain essentially.
Gotcha. So there was I think I heard you correctly. I'm not sure. I kind of get distracted because every time I hear sound I see colors. That's how synesthesia works. But I think I remember you saying that you were either at one point adopted or you were in the foster care system, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken. Yes, no. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
I was in foster care. Yep.
Okay, cool. If you'd like to, like I said, completely up to you. This is your space too. You know what I'm saying? This is the Kid Casper podcast featuring Amethyst. This is Koinonia with the kid, but I can't have a conversation with myself. That's why I need a
Yeah.
podcast. But this is a conversation. So if you feel compelled to share that with everybody tonight, the screen is yours.
Sure. Yeah. So the foster care system is broken, and um, my the circumstances in which me and my siblings landed in foster care is still something I'm working on, even myself. But essentially, my mom had us with one of her many boyfriends and would just leave us for months, weeks at a time with him. And he was not a good man. He was doing it. It was me and my two sisters. And so he was doing just really inappropriate, just not good things, And so my oldest sister, who essentially was like our mom growing up, because my mom wasn't there, so she took care of us, told her school counselor one day. And that night or day later on after school, we got home, and I just remember these people, these white people who I had never met before, came in, told us to pack a bag for the night, that we were leaving for the night. And this was one of the times that my mom was gone. So like we were really scared. We didn't really know what was going on. And they took us to this like facility. And I just remember them like scrambling, trying to call people. And because of our ages at the time, we weren't babies, we weren't toddlers. No houses wanted to take us, especially being that once you throw that label of kids who have gone through sexual assault or kids who have issues with that, parents don't want those kids because they're like, well, I'm not, you can't bring that trauma into my house, because they automatically assume any kid who has been sexually abused is then going to do that to other children, which isn't true, but that's what they think. So we sat there for hours and hours and hours while they like called around trying to get homes for all of us. And eventually we all got placed, and we endured more sexual abuse in foster care. And my dad stepped up, which at this point, I didn't really know my dad because my mom had taken us from him and just fed us full of bullshit that he was this horrible person, and she wouldn't let him see us, and just awful, awful stuff. So he worked really hard to get us out, and he did, which was good. Had he have not, we would have been adopted by our tribe. But yeah, I was in foster care for a year and some months before my dad was able to get us out.
Now you said you said that now this I did not know, even though I've only known you for like 2 weeks. And I've been like, periodically like, stalking your page on TikTok, not liking every
Love
video because
it.
that's how you get shadow banned. But you said that your dad pretty much got you before your tribe could have adopted you. How does that work? Like, and when you say tribe, for context purposes, you said could you give your tribe again?
I'm Mescalero Apache.
Okay. And you said that if your dad would have like said not come, your tribe would have adopted you. Like what?
Yeah.
I guess like what was that about, or how did that?
I mean,
Like,
I don't know. I just know that our caseworker came to us and she said, these are your options. Your dad wants you guys, but your tribe has also stepped up and said that they will adopt you. And so I know that that would have entailed us moving out of state. So honestly, I don't know because that didn't end up happening. And I think back on that, and I just know with MMIW and all of the children who have gone missing, it gives me pause. And I wonder if that has something to do with it, because from that day forward, I've never heard of another foster child talk about, especially the Indigenous children that I know who are in the system. I've never heard anyone talk about their tribe reaching out to adopt them. So I don't know. It gives me pause. It makes me think that if my dad wasn't there, I don't know what would have happened to us. Who knows if my tribe even wanted to adopt us,
So it wouldn't, and I mean, like, I don't know because I wasn't in the foster care system, but like I have a couple of friends. For instance, my one of my sisters in my community group. This is Auntie Maya. You haven't met her yet. But she was in foster care and everything like that. And it wouldn't be beyond them to tell you something that would like kind of give you hope. And then
it not happen.
Gotcha. And then there's something that you said that I'm still, like I said, I'm still like learning and stuff like that. As far as like direct impact of like what happens to people within like the Indigenous community. You said MIW. I've been educating myself and everything like that. But one, I think that it's something that doesn't get talked about enough, and people don't really know about what that is, and like the gravity of that is. So break that down for me real quick. What's MIW?
So MMIW is an organization. It's
MMIW. My bad.
Yeah,
MMIW. My apologies.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Missing and murdered Indigenous women, and it's an epidemic. It's serious, and it doesn't get enough media coverage because we're brown, and there are Indigenous women are 10 times more likely to experience some type of violence within their lifetime, including murder. And 90% of those cases are due to non-native men. And a lot of the women who get taken off of reservations, because on the res, a lot of people don't have vehicles, don't even have driver's licenses. They walk everywhere, and they will literally just get picked up on the side of the street and never seen or heard from again. And the cases that we have been able to examine and look at, it's always non-native individuals. And it's always like sex rings or truckers. There's a big issue with truckers who drive into areas with a high population of Indigenous women. And it doesn't get any fucking media coverage because we're brown women, and we're underprotected, and we're disrespected and disregarded. And so MMIW is a coalition they have in Canada and here in the US that is trying to push awareness, and they take all their donations to help find the missing women, and then also to help the families who have fallen victim to stuff like this.
So one thing that I think is kind of crazy, and I say it's crazy for two things. So I think this is all by design, and I think you could agree to this, is that because we don't really hear that much about what impacts the Indigenous community, people assume nothing's happening. Like,
Yes.
you know what I'm saying? Like, and I'll be honest with you. This is the most in the last maybe 18 months I've heard. A lot of that is because, like, with the Black Lives Matter protests and everything like that, pretty much the POC community, BIPOC community was like, we're not taking this. You know what I'm saying? They're not taking this. We're not taking this. So, like, we saw that, like, what they were trying to do with Mount Rushmore. They think that a little peanut butter on the nose by taking away the R slur for the football team is, justice for your community and everything like that.
Yeah.
But what do you think, one, is the reason why there isn't a lot of, one, media coverage when it comes to your community, and two, how does that make you feel personally as a Indigenous woman, as a person of color, a woman of color, the double minority in this country?
Well, so the 2019 census, between Alaskan Indigenous people and natives here in the US, we make up 2.9% of the US population. And so oftentimes our voice just isn't loud enough for white America. And not only that, but we have within our community, we have a distrust for white men, white women, just white America in general. And so, a lot of our community is suffering from generational trauma, and it's hard to stand up and be active and speak up for your community when you're dealing with your own shit on the inside. And so we don't have enough representation. They're still pumping liquor stores and now it's methamphetamines into our communities. And so they keep us dumb, they keep us high, they keep us drunk, and we're already dealing with our own internalized and generational trauma. And so it's hard. Like, honestly, it makes me emotional thinking about all of the families who those are my people, I feel through them, and it's fucking sad, and it needs more media coverage. And so that's the goal, though. That's why we don't have time for feelings and emotions. And if a white person gets mad at fucking snow possum or whatever the fuck else, I don't care, because you guys are still in power at the end of the day, and my people are fucking suffering.
Exactly. And I try to explain this to people because every time, like, something crazy happens, like last year, and I was telling my community group this last night, and they thought I was kidding because they know who I am, MrLeadWithLove, you know what I'm saying? 1 Corinthians 16:14, do everything in love. I was like, yeah, there was a good week where I hated, and I mean hated, white people. And I mean, that was something that I had to reconcile with my own heart.
Yeah.
And when I try to explain to people what that is, I try to tell them, I'm like, you got to understand, for me, especially like in pretty much from, I wouldn't say like since like Kaepernick kneeled. Matter of fact, no, I want to say since Mike Brown to like now, because I live in the state of Maryland. I saw what happened to Baltimore after Freddie Gray and everything like that.
Yeah.
I heard the conversations, and I saw how people were very cold about like the brutalization of Black life in itself. And I would tell people, I'm like, y'all got to understand, I just assume every white person that I don't know is racist until they prove me otherwise. And when and then that sounds cold and it sounds callous, but I don't think people realize that for us it's fear that is traumatic, obviously. And then it's the fear that was induced by an introduction of terror or tyranny, in a sense. And especially when you never necessarily got justice and it still continues to happen. It's like when you're it's like if you're messing around with like a toxic dude and he cheats on you and he's like, oh, but he doesn't even say, baby, I'll change. He just keeps doing it, doesn't apologize, and then wonders why you don't trust him. I don't think that it's like blown out of proportion in a sense, because you're literally talking about people that are crying about a wound that is being ignored, not being treated, and it just seems like they're not even being cared about.
Absolutely. And then they try to justify it by bringing up the casinos and bringing up the $5 Indian and how people are getting benefit. Those benefits are maybe like $4 a month. You know what I mean? Like, it's not anything to toot your horn about. And you're right. It's we as Black and brown people are in an abusive relationship with white America. And I'm sick of it. I'm done with it. And especially this last week, it wrecked my spirit to see that there was like some controversy between our two communities, because that is literally what white supremacist was designed for us to do. You know, white supremacy. That's what they want us to do. They want us to fight back and forth with each other, because then we don't realize who the true oppressor is. And that's really hard to get people to recognize that and realize that and get over their petty squabbles over, like I saw a video, some chick was upset that the Black community has a recognized holiday, like a federally recognized holiday, and it's like
Juneteenth.
Yeah, but then she's like, well, what have us Indigenous people? And for me, it's like you're literally trying to play the oppression Olympics, as Edie would or as Eb would describe it, and that's not going to get us anywhere. That's literally pedaling in the same fucking spot that you're in, and you're doing nothing to be progressive and move forward. And the only way that we're going to be able to do that is if we bring our 13.8% and our 2.9% together and create a louder voice for my people and for the Black community. My kids are Afro-Indigenous. I fight just as hard for them as I do for my own people. You know?
Yeah. And I think the one thing that that, I mean, you and me have talked about this a couple of times, is that I don't think a people can be more similar in not only a struggle, a turbulence, and almost like a wind speed that we go through as a people, than the Black community and the Indigenous community. I'm talking like, and it's not about it, and I think we both agree, it's not about who got it first, who went through it first. It's the fact that, like, as far as like justice and for how long, or the injustice that's and how long it's been happening in our country to our communities, I feel like we can relate to each other the most. But as we've seen in social media for like the last week, it seems like we can't pull our heads out of our butts and realize like a lot of these things that we're arguing over is remedial and a distraction from the fact that, as you said, that white supremacy is like, hey, if they point the finger at each other and fight with each other, they won't fight us. You know what I'm saying?
They won't mess with us. Yeah, absolutely. And our government knows that. That's why they keep us out of the circle, you know, per se. Because they know that if we rise up, there's a lot more of us right now in today's day and age than there is. And I'm speaking too about like, not allies, because they can, I'm done with allies. Accomplices, there's a lot more of us than them. I truly do believe that. But the problem is that there's so many people who are still scared to get out of that comfort zone and get out of that white solidarity that they've been in for so long. I feel like there's probably a lot of people that want to, but they're scared to. And so I think it's time, like it's time for us to come together and speak out and change some shit, you know, because the more that we point fingers and, oh, you got this, you got that, we're doing nothing. We're doing nothing for our communities except for furthering generational trauma and furthering trivial bullshit.
And it's something that you said earlier, and you and me talked about this the other day, and you were talking about how, and this isn't to dog your community by any means, so I hope you don't think this to be disrespectful, but you spoke on how they push liquor stores into our community, in your communities and stuff like that. And I think the other night I was telling you that this protest I did in Baltimore, and I told you, I was a beloved. I did this protest where there was 3 liquor stores on one block. Corner, McDonald's, Taco Bell, KFC, and I think it was like a Checkers, all in that same block. You couldn't even tell me where the nearest clinic was, but one of the biggest like methadone clinics in like the country, essentially. I call it Turning Point. I want to abolish that place, and I hope that the internet hears me. I want that place gone. That's completely besides the point. But it's the fact that they put these things into our community that is, I gave this analogy at this protest. It's like peanut butter on the nose. I do that for my dog because he has terrible anxiety. When there's a thunderstorm, he flips out. Me putting peanut butter on his nose is giving him something to kind of like subdue him for the second, but that doesn't remove the very thing that makes him anxious and is giving him panic attacks. In this case, though, when we're talking about white supremacy and redlining, they control the storm. You know what I'm saying? They control the environment, they control the circumstances. At least they control like what goes on our corners in our neighborhoods that we don't ask for. And then what ends up happening is we look at each other, like as you just said, and we get mad. Like we get mad at, oh, somebody gets recognized over here. The Black community gets a holiday, even though we asked for the anti-lynching bill.
Right.
You know,
that was a complete distraction.
Yeah, you guys get the R slur removed from the Washington football team, and like it's like we did not ask for that. Like, or we did, but not.
We have been fighting for that for a long time, but there's a lot more that needs to be taken care of.
Exactly.
Yeah. You know, you're absolutely right, especially if you look back in like the 70s and the 80s. Crack and heroin was pumped into Black and brown neighborhoods, and then they combated that by the war on drugs, which landed so many Black fathers, Black mothers, brown fathers, brown mothers in the pen, and they're sitting there for life, never to be rehabilitated. You know, I'm a recovering addict, so that's a topic that I feel very strongly about, because I think it's a play on our generational trauma. And for me,
say that.
Yeah, anytime that when I was in active addiction, anytime that I was using, I'm recovering from an opioid addiction.
I didn't ask you the other night. How far along are you sobriety wise?
6 years.
Okay, cool. Let's clap it up for her real quick. She's 6 years sober. That we praise God and we celebrate that for real. I'll be 10 years. I think I told you the other night. I'll be 10 years next April. So
that's awesome.
We like to give flowers around here. So you got yours. I'll put mine in the vase. You know
it's huge.
I'm working on it.
But I feel like it's a play on our generational trauma, because you take someone who's already grown up too fast, as we spoke about, and then has that DNA in them, where we already from the beginning have like anxiety disorders, and we suffer from depression more than any other racial group. And then you give them a little bit of something that's going to make them euphoric. And it's very difficult, you know, like take a white boy, and this is no shade at any white boys, but, you know, grew up with a silver spoon in his mouth, went to college, gets drunk every night in college, experiments with every drug under the sun, but is still able to graduate, go on and make 6 figures. You know, people from our community can't do that, because for us, it turns into a lifestyle, because we're constantly trying to numb this pain that we never asked for.
It's that, and it's the fact that like if it happens to like the white community, it's the minority, but then if it's one of us, it's the standard. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yes. Or if it happens to someone in the white community, they're suffering from a mental illness. They finally recognize mental illness. But if it happens to someone from our community, we're thugs and gangsters and criminals, and our criminal record gets brought into it. Like, that's ridiculous.
It's so one thing I wanted to kind of go back, because we're not so much going all over the place, because this is good. This is really, really good. And also the fact that I feel like I could talk to you for hours, but I don't know how long everybody else could stay up. But one thing that we kind of touched on it the other night, because you were telling me other things you were mixed with, because I was speaking Spanish, you know, family from Ghana right here, you know what I'm saying? Dominican over here. And I think you told me you're part Mexican, correct? You know what I'm saying?
I am. I also told you my husband's Haitian, so we know a lot about the Dominican lifestyle. You guys have very similar cultures. Very
gotcha. We'll talk. We might be related. I don't know. The way that
slavery
slavery works, we don't know.
But yeah, so my tribe, as I said, is in the southernmost part of New Mexico, and then reaches down into Mexico as well. So we do have some Mexican in us. My grandmother is like, as far as we know, and you couldn't tell her otherwise, she's 100% Apache Native. And then her so my dad's dad committed suicide when my dad was, I think, 3 years old. So we've kind of had to learn a little bit about him via like family members and just doing a little extra work because nobody really knew him except my grandmother. He was Mexican, from Zacatecas. So
Gotcha. So
yeah.
one thing that we kind of talked about, like briefly, about this like the other night. And I wanted you to kind of expound on this. So you're mixed with, well, you're indigenous, but you're also part Mexican, which means you're part of the Hispanic community. Talk to me about, and I don't know this, like I said, I don't have a lot of representation. You're one of one, baby girl. You're one of one as far as representation goes for indigenous people. But I guess like my question is, when we're talking about like coping mechanisms, we talked about how as POCs, how our communities were impacted by the war on drugs, the crack epidemic, them redlining and putting all these substances into our communities to pretty much subdue us from the trauma that they tailor made for us. But when we're talking about coping mechanisms, assimilation, especially for us as POCs, I've chalked it up to that, when people of color go in, like, especially within like these white spaces, we code switch, we carry our thing, we carry ourselves in ways that is more palatable for white America in a sense. I know from my own experience, within the Hispanic community, as far as like assimilating to whiteness.
I've never done that.
I know you, the way you talked the other night. Yeah, I don't have to worry about you, but I guess
I've never done that.
But I guess what I'm asking is that I know it to be like, for instance, in my experience within the Hispanic community. But have you experienced it or seen it yourself as a woman of color belonging to the Hispanic community? But if there is any at all, can you speak to if that happens in the indigenous community, and what does that look like? One, because I don't know, and two, this might be, like I said, this might be eye-opening for other people listening today.
A big issue right now that I have recognized and that I am actively helping to fix, and as much as I and the people that I associate with can, is Afro-Indigenous folks who know their history and they know that they have Indigenous heritage. It is very difficult for them to get enrolled in their tribes. And so, within the Indigenous community, there is discrimination, prejudice against darker skinned Native people. And then on the Hispanic side as well, I feel like a lot of Hispanic people, maybe not so much like Mexican nationals, but a lot of Mexican Americans who are maybe like third, fourth, fifth generation, maybe even if you throw a white mother in there, they pander so much to white America. And they really truly think that if they pander as much as they do, that eventually that Lopez or that Cisneros or Gonzalez is going to be Timothy or Francis. You know what I mean? Like, they think that it matters, and it doesn't. And white America's just using them as a fucking tool in their tool belt. They don't give a shit about them. And so it does happen within the Indigenous community and the Hispanic community. I've seen it. I've dealt with it. And it puts me in a kind of sometimes, I guess, a good position, because I've seen so many different perspectives. My mother is white. I was never brought up around white people. In fact, I was brought up around predominantly Black folks. But my
good for you. Continue.
My kids are Afro-Indigenous, and their dad, I've seen him get manhandled by the police. So I've seen that aspect. And then my dad, as an Indigenous man, I've seen him get racially profiled and manhandled by the police. And then I have Hispanic family members and friends who I've seen, pander to whiteness. And so I'm in a position where I've seen it from all angles. And I know for me, because I don't look as Indigenous as some Indigenous people, I've even gotten a little bit of like that colorism from my own community. And so, it's a big problem. And the fact that Afro-Indigenous people can't get enrolled in their tribe just because they don't believe them, or they won't even accept the information that they have, it's a problem, and it's not okay. And it's something that needs to be addressed.
So one thing, and it's something that my sister Key said in the comment section.
That's right.
And
60%.
it's not so much. Now, first off, I'm just gonna open up and say, in case you don't know, I'm politically agnostic. So what that means
I'm independent.
Is both parties are trash. Do you understand me? Like both, like it's kind of like it's like, oh well, you know, the Democrats started a fire, but the Republicans grabbed the gasoline. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like we're complaining about like two wings of the same bird that you know the rest. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and
but
you know what? I'm sorry, but liberals, Democrats are some of the most racist people I've ever met in my entire life. They just cover it up with fucking sugar and bullshit. But deep down on the inside, they are racist. Believe it, they are.
Yeah, they have like this white savior complex, which when they act on it, it just kind of lets them know, like, hey, you know, you have the upper hand. You just want to make it sound like you're helping us, but you're really not actually helping us.
Yes.
But one of the things that I wanted to touch on was like, it seemed like just for me in my life, like I said, the last like 4 years, when it came to like being a person of color in this community, I never experienced more anti-blackness, not only from white America, because, you know, I know what time it is, you know what I'm saying? But from my Mexican brothers and sisters. Like, I don't know, like, what that was about, where you, like, we seen, and I don't really want to talk about it too much, but, like, we saw what 45 said. He's calling Mexican people drug dealers, rapists, all these other things. And then in my state, girl, we have this county in my state called Cecil County, where we got, I'm not even kidding, there's a group called the Brown Rednecks, where there's literally baby girl, I wish I was making this up. I wish I was making this up.
That is a what do you call it? Where the two words don't oxymoron. That's an oxymoron.
Yeah, it was crazy. And like, I would have like, especially and we'll get into that much later, but like when we're talking about, because you know, like the heavy influence of like Catholics within the Hispanic community, Christians within the Hispanic community, they in these like spaces have been absolved in a sense.
Yeah,
it gets to a point where it's like, I don't think that this is a coping mechanism. I think this is a new identity. And I think like the one thing I'm asking is not so much that oh God, what'd you say? Bro, I had to school a brother in North Carolina. Yeah, them niggas is weird.
You're better than me. I would have knocked his teeth in.
Anyway. But I think
it's assimilation. The Catholic Church has gone in and, excuse my language, but wrecked so many different cultures, including the Hispanic culture. And because of that, they are now these assimilated beings pandering to white supremacy. And they don't even realize it because they're so like distorted and just programmed.
Right. So the thing that I wanted to ask is, so I have a story. Yeah, we already know that. Tune in later this week about this one time I went to a Catholic Bible study. It was weird.
Oh God.
Not even kidding. It was super weird. But so I did this video around last year around this time. It was called Boxed in a Barrel of Laughs. Talking about how back in like, I want to say even on the plantation, matter of fact, on the plantation, like, you know, slaves, you know, Black people were not allowed to express emotions, laugh. If there was churches on plantation grounds, you were not allowed to express emotions, be loud, laugh, essentially. So what slaves had to do was shove their heads in a barrel, and sometimes they were not filled with water, but typically they were filled with water, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, you would have to literally like yell, make whatever noise you had to make in these barrels. When slavery ended, you know what I'm saying, they used to have these things around town and everything like that. And laughing around white people was making them uncomfortable was illegal, essentially. So they would still have these barrels around. So what you would have to do is you would have to literally like almost like an ostrich shoving their head in like dirt, had to like laugh, do whatever you need to do in this barrel if you were out in public, just so you didn't get killed. So for me, I did this video talking about how I would like denounce myself, and my brother knows what I'm talking about. We talked briefly about this one time, but I used to, I'm mixed with a couple of different things. But because of the anti-blackness, not only in this country, but anti-blackness within the Black community, anti-blackness within the Hispanic community, anti-blackness within the Polynesian community, I used to just denounce my blackness. You know what I'm saying? Was there ever a point in time, this isn't to be assumptuous, but just to ask, was there ever a time that you felt like, because of like the fruits of white supremacy and the impact that it had on you as an individual, or maybe even on your community or your like circles or anything like that, was there ever a time that you used to denounce like your genetic makeup to as like a coping mechanism to I guess survive in this country growing up?
I don't think so. Honestly, my experience growing up, anytime I went to 4 different high schools and 3 of them were predominantly white, and I got kicked out of them because I've always kind of just been me, and people didn't like that. And so, I was very much in tune with the hood lifestyle because that's what I grew up. And so these different high schools that I went to is because my dad remarried so many times, and he was remarried to this white lady who lived in a nice house. We moved in with her for a few years, and I ended up going to the high school by there that was predominantly white. And if anything, the trauma that I've experienced via white kids, white people, it made me want to push myself even further away from that. And then seeing what my dad's gone through and what my family's gone through, I can't recall a time that I have wanted to be white, I guess.
So not so much like white, but like I guess like the better question to ask is maybe not even denounce yourself, but did you, as a woman of color, have you ever went through a period of like self-hatred? And if you did, what did that like look like for you?
Oh yeah, and I've told you this. I was when I got out of high school, my dad had met another woman, and this time she wanted to move to another state. So he moved states, and I didn't have anywhere to live. So I dropped out of high school. This was the last high school I went to. I dropped out, and I moved in with my boyfriend at the time, and he was a Mexican man. And I've told you, like, he, broke my jaw, beat the shit out of me, almost killed me several times. And so in that relationship, yes, I had a lot of self-hatred. And I think that in the process of staying with him, I almost felt like my own father is not going to defend me. The country that I live in certainly isn't going to defend me. I never called the cops because I already knew growing up they're not going to defend me. And so, yeah, that definitely was. And I think a lot of Black and brown women go through that. They end up in abusive relationships. And because of what you're talking about, kind of that self-hatred, they stay because they don't honor themselves because nobody ever showed them how to, or even how that looks. So, yeah, I think I definitely hated myself then for sure.
I think what it, and I think we talked about this one time. It's the fact that like there are things to your likeness as a woman of color that gets cherry picked, and like white people, more particularly white women, sensationalize white men, what's the word, fetishize, you know what I'm saying, over sexualize and everything like that. But then they tell you, no, it looks ugly on you, which is literally the epitome of white of cultural appropriation. And then you being a woman in this society, yeah, it's very easy to be like, I know like me, you know what I'm saying? Like, I understand.
Something that you might not know just because you're not a female is I don't have a lot of female friends. And once I make female friends, I am very leery about like, for me, honestly, I don't have any white friends. And that's just because what I've experienced, what white women will do is exactly what you said. they will see that you get more attention from guys or whatever. And instead of like pumping you up, being your friends, they will shoot you down and do like backwards compliments. That doesn't look good on you. But then the next week be doing the same exact thing. Like, I used to get made fun of in high school by the white girls for my lip liner, for drawing my eyebrows in. I used to do the mi vida loca dots right here. And now that's a Snapchat filter. That is a fucking Snapchat filter. And that's exactly how I looked in high school. And I was told it was ugly and I looked ghetto and trashy and no one was ever going to take me seriously. And now I see white girls doing it all the time and it's a fucking Snapchat filter.
Yeah, it's what it is. It's like, it's almost as like, well, I mean, I guess the only way that I can relate to this as a black man is like, probably like for me, because I hated my nose growing up because Mother Africa is just big on my face. Like, like I just, oh my gosh. And like for the longest time, like I was being made to like, you know, have like, you know, to hate my features. This is that and the third. My lips aren't really that big, you know what I'm saying? But like the anti-blackness would spill into our community, and then we started doing it to each other, be like, your lips are too big, this is that and the third. And then Kylie Jenner, you know what I'm saying? And she literally makes $1 billion, you know, sampling black women's features and, you know, dyeing herself tea, you know what I'm saying?
Right, absolutely.
It's frustrating. Absolutely
it
frustrating,
is.
for sure.
Well, and another thing as far as that goes is I had two of my really good friends at one of the high schools that I went to, and I'm still friends with them to this day. They're originally from Sudan, Africa, and we became really close friends. They're sisters, and it was just me. And they are dark-skinned black women. And I remember going to their house one time, and they had just bought bleaching kits. And we got into a huge fight because I guess these were like expensive bleaching kits, and I destroyed them and threw them away. And that was kind of my first introduction to that kind of self-hatred thing as far as what black women deal with. And it's fucking sad. It's really sad because you see these celebrities who, when they start out, they're these beautiful black skin, dark skin women, and then as they get more popular, their skin gets lighter, and little girls look at that and they're like, oh, that's what I need to do to be beautiful. And it's fucking disgusting.
I had that with being Dominican Sammy Sosa. I mean, literally went from dark to light. Aunt Viv in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Yeah, I definitely get that for sure. It's just, it's crazy. Like,
it is.
I mean, I know what it is. It's the fact that like they want to. I always give this analogy. It's off of a Eddie Griffin stand up. It's like, you know, they actually want to beat us so bad. It's like, you know, we like y'all try to get tans. You know, you don't see us try to go outside when the moon's out to try to lighten up. But then you get mad at us when we just look the way that we do. You know what I'm saying?
For being born. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, and Native women were sexualized from Pocahontas and, you know, just from mainstream media. But so they want to sexualize us, and they want to, anytime I've told a white man I'm Native, they're like, oh yeah, I can see it in your cheekbones. You know, they speak about physical attributes about being Native, but nobody wants to talk about how Native women are being abducted and sold as sex slaves in the sex trafficking business. You know what I mean? So it's like you want to sexualize us, but you don't want to talk about our troubles, our trauma, and what we're dealing with. You just want, they want to see us, but they don't want to hear us.
They want your expression, but not your oppression. They want they want your aesthetic, but do not want to be sympathetic. Yes, that's a bar off my album. I told you I rap. But it's so, I think like what we're getting to is it's so dehumanizing to like kind of like take our features and all these things that what'd you say? This man is black as hell. First off, I'm not even gonna get into like how this man. We'll talk about him a little later because you and me talked about him a good.
I love him, by the way. He's awesome. Yeah. He humbles me. He reminds me that not everybody deserves a response. So I love you, messy minister.
Oh yeah, he told me to pretty much stop being so scared. Like he pretty much put the battery in my back. So what y'all deal with now is his fault.
That's okay. Trust
um
trust him. He knows what he's talking about.
yeah, he's a good dude. We'll definitely
Yeah.
get into him a little bit later. So one thing that I wanted to talk to you about, it's kind of funny when we're talking about the messy minister, and that's a good way to kind of like segue into like this topic. So
Yeah.
I told you I'm a Christian, for instance, when I first met you. Like I make that abundantly clear for two reasons. One, to let you know what my moral compass is, not to police you by any means. Two, hold me to that. That's just a thing I do. I have no problem saying I'm a Christian rapper because everything I rap about should be Christ-like at the end of the day. But you know, when we're talking about like what's been happening lately with the indigenous community, for instance,
Yeah.
I did an interview about a couple weeks back. Um, I heard like a little feedback, so I just muted you for a second. All good. I when we're talking about like the indigenous community and we're talking about not even American Christianity, because like I said, I'm still learning this stuff about like things that have happened to like your community, but the evil that has been done to the indigenous community in the name of Jesus. We're talking about like, burial sites of children. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying children because these are schools. These are like elementary schools and everything like that. Um, all these things that are like happening and they're coming up. You know what I'm saying? Oh no, my bad. You right. You right. No, in the name of Rome. My bad. Not in the name of Jesus. I'm just saying that the fact that like a lot of Christians, and it pisses me off, they will do Satan's work in the name of Jesus. They say that they serve Jesus or serve God, but they freelance for Satan. That's more so what I'm talking about. But we talked about it very, very, very briefly before we got into this. Um, but talk to me a little bit about like these recent like findings of like indigenous children at these charter schools, at these churches and stuff like that in Canada. But we obviously know about the impact of the American church had. I mean, hell, I mean, like you could easily say, like, you guys being removed from your land. This is your land, you know what I'm saying? As American Christianity. So if you can talk to me a little bit about that, because we got into a little bit. You only gave like a nugget before we fired this up. But talk to me about like these recent findings, the impact that it has on you, and like share your thoughts on it.
Okay. Um, so boarding schools were a common thing here in the US and Canada. And if you even look at like the before and after pictures of some of the kids who ended up graduating out of these schools, they are whiter, they are dressed differently, they lost their name. And so it's assimilation. And the church did horrendous things to these children. My father was raised Catholic because the church has like substations, if you will, within the reservations. And that's it. That's exactly what they're doing. They're assimilating and making them lose their native tongue and their culture. That way, it doesn't get passed on to the other generations. And my dad fell away from the church, and pretty much every male that I know who grew up Catholic, who is Indigenous, was abused sexually by someone within the church.
Mm,
Um, and it's not like a unique occurrence. And what happened and is still happening in Canada is I mean, honestly, I had to like really check my depression because
mm,
it's a travesty. And I'm not even going to say I'm surprised because I'm not. I've known for a long time that the Catholic Church and other branches of Christianity are poison in our community. They are literally poison within our community. And it astonishes me that there are still so many Indigenous people who follow that path of faith. And I don't judge them, but at the same time, I don't understand how they could. Um, and so yeah, it's heart-wrenching, and they're going to start digging here in the US. and it's going to be heart-wrenching again to see the remains that are left. Because I don't know if you've ever heard this, but here in the Midwest, there's this thing that a lot of people say. They'll say, "Oh, our house is built on ancient Indian burial grounds." Have you ever heard someone say that, use that term?
Yeah, I born and raised in Wichita, Kansas, so I
That's
used to
right.
hear that
Yeah.
all the time.
Yes. And so it's kind of eerie thinking that that term that people throw around is actually unmarked graves of entire families and mothers and children and aunties and grandmothers that were just left there to rot, or some were buried alive. And the boarding schools, as well as colonization, has a lot to do with that. And it's devastating. It really is. Watching the ceremony when the children were brought home to the Sioux Nation was I have a hard time even putting into words the emotions that were running through me. It makes me want to burn everything down.
No, I get it. For me, especially being some reason, like, and I've talked about this with the messy minister. I've told him that, like, the term Christian seems like a dirty word. You know what I'm saying? Like, I prefer disciple of Christ because Jesus had followers, but then he had disciples. So, and I remember I was on Zoom. Jess could tell you this. Shout out to Wayward Jessica. You know what I'm saying? She Not Your Safe Zone podcast tomorrow. I think it's 8 Central Time. I don't know. We'll talk about that later, just in case I need to plug it correctly. But when I found out that these grave sites were like dug up, I was literally on Zoom with them, and I literally was like, I'm gonna throw up. You know, I literally wanted to throw, like, I felt like I was gonna throw up. I don't do well with trauma, period. Just like when, like, anybody's being brutalized, or if I see like an overabundance of death, I get sick. I still have yet to see 13th. I can't watch 13th. It doesn't do me any good. It just triggers me and everything like that. But for me, I realized, and I talked about this last week on my podcast, when we were talking about like social justice, how the Bible was intended for social justice. One of the things that we had to come to the acknowledgement of is when people are like, "Oh, this isn't our history." I'm like, this is our history as Christians in America, but as Christians, because it's not, as my brother said it earlier, you know, these atrocities happen in Canada, the Philippines, Australia, nation of Hawaii, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's the fact that I tell people all the time when we're talking about like reconciliation, and we talked about it a little bit earlier. If we do not even acknowledge that there was wrong that's taking place, then reconciliation can never happen. So when I hear Christians, for instance, they say, "That's not our history," or they'll hit us with that, "Well, that wasn't us." It's like, so you know what I mean? Like, it's like, we get this. I get this absolutely as a black man. You know, I didn't go through slavery, but I still deal with the detriment of what happened generations ago. You know, we as Christians, more specifically, you know, white evangelicals, reap the benefits off of what happened to the black community and the indigenous community. So my heart breaks, and I think that's another thing that kind of, not so much apprehensive, but then again, I have anxiety. So like, I don't like to hide my faith. I'm very bold in my faith. So every time I open up the conversation with, "Hey, I'm a Christian," they're like, "Huh? What was that?" I'm like, "Hey, I'm a Christian." They're like, "You mean like the church that stormed the Capitol?" No. I'm a Christian. They're like, "Oh, you mean like the charter schools?" I'm like, "No, like brown skin, Middle Eastern, that dude. It kind of looks like T-Pain a little bit. Not that Fabio looking dude or the Pope's son. I'm talking about the Yahshua the King, Jesus the Christ." I find that to be, especially like when I'm engaging people in your community, it's in my, I'm not afraid of it. I'm not ashamed of it. I think for me, it's more of a call to me, and it's provoking for me to just, live my life unapologetically, live in my faith unashamedly. I'm unapologetically Black, but I'm unashamedly a Christian. And I think when I tell myself, when I'm like communicating, like for instance, with people like you and everything like that, regardless if they've even themselves have dealt with hate from people, from the church, from people that identify with the same Jesus or Rome as other people, as the messy minister said, um, it provokes me to be the real thing, because the fake thing is already on display. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what your thoughts were on that. And also, and this, I'll follow this up with another question. What the hell made you want to get on here on a podcast with me? Because I told you I was a Christian, and then as everything we just explained, like, after like me just kind of diving in on that, and then two, like, what made you want to, like, I guess, like, take this conversation or like take this step?
I am open to any discussion. My stance on Christianity is that anything that is done with the intention of love, and here's my take on Christianity. I think that Christianity was something that the white man introduced to our peoples, um, to make them fear. And they instilled that fear in them to then get them to do what they wanted. And I've studied Christianity. I have a deep respect for the Bible. I also have a deep respect for Jesus. I think that he was a man. For me, that's all he was. But I think that he was a healer. And I am more spiritual. I believe in my own creator, and I believe in karma, and I believe in reincarnation, and I believe in being a good fucking person and holding people accountable at the same time. And so at the same time, that's me. And I think that everyone should view spirituality or religion differently, because this organized religion stuff to me is insane, because we all have different experiences. So how can we generalize that we all believe in this one thing when we all have different experiences? He or creator has touched us all in different ways. And so I respect deeply the need for everyone to have their own belief system that holds them accountable and that touches them and gives them soul and spirit. And so I don't judge you for being Christian. And I love the way that you approach it, because you do it in a way that is truthful, honest, and holds your fellow Christians accountable. And I respect that. So I wouldn't take pause in coming on here because you're Christian. I just am not. I believe in a creator, and I believe in energy, and I'm very spiritual, but that doesn't mean that, because okay, here's my thing. I used to be Christian, and the reason that I fell away from it was because I got hung up on this idea that I know a lot of really good people who are Buddhist or even atheist. And also, I know a lot of people who believe in indigenous spirituality, like a creator, that when you die, you go to the happy hunting grounds. And so how can you take these people who have done right their entire lives, or at least tried to, we've all messed up, but someone who has been a great person and walked in faith and been courageous, and how can you say that that person is going to be doomed to eternal damnation in hell just because they believed in a different God or creator?
Mhm.
And so I have a hard time with that, because I know good people of all different backgrounds and spiritualities and religions.
Oh,
And
girl,
so,
let me tell you something. Some of the nastiest people I've ever met proclaim the name of Jesus. I'm like,
yes,
you trifling
yes.
son of a biscuits. Like,
Right. Yes. And I feel like a lot of them, especially Catholics, just use it as a band-aid to treat people like shit, be a horrible person, and then say, well, I'm a God-fearing Christian man or woman. And it's like, that doesn't mean shit. You know what I mean? And I have a deep respect for the Bible. I have a Bible. I read the Bible to my kids because I think that it teaches great values and instills love and kindness and respect and gratitude. And I love that. For my kids, I'm gonna give them all these different options and say, you can believe this, you can believe this, you can, whatever feels right for you. That's what you should. That's your path. Take your path as you see it.
I think and at least in my experiences, because I think I've talked to you about this on our Zooms. Oh yeah, that was pretty much what I was gonna sum up. But he over here he's up late tonight. Like you don't got to do rag because he's bald, but like he usually is like he's usually in bed. He's gonna punch me in the neck when I see him in September. Please don't punch me. I have a bird chest and you're gonna make my shoulders touch. Please don't do that. But I think like what I've learned, and you and me talked about this, is like not only am I in this season of deconstructing my faith, decolonizing my faith, one of my biggest grievances that Christians have done is that we talk about how much our God hates more than we talk about our God loves. And I think a lot of times when it comes to, because evangelism sounds like a dirty word, but it really ain't supposed to be a dirty word. You know what I'm saying? But really, when we're talking about our God and we're talking about the goodness of God and we're talking about loving on people and ministering to people and meeting people where we're at, it's more about what we do opposed to what we say. And what we say should emulate his love and not emulate fear, death, and hell all the time. So what I've come to learn is when I'm ministering to people, and you hear me on the Zooms, they be going off. You understand me? They be going off. But I just sit there, I take in everything, I digest everything, and I just tell them, I give them my insight and everything like that. But I want them to know at the end of the day that Jesus loves them. I need them to know at the end of the day that I love them. And then at the end of the day, even if they do not go to the same heaven as me, if they don't go to the same heaven, or, well, she disappeared. What just happened? Amethyst, we was cooking. Where'd you go? Hold on, y'all. We're going to try to get her back. She like completely booted herself. Give me a second, y'all. I didn't kick her out, I promise. We was cooking. No! Amethyst! Amethyst! Yeah, I can talk like that. It's my podcast. Hold on, guys. We're going to try to get her back real quick. Let's see what's happened. See, we was cooking. We was having Koinonia, and the man kicked her out. So let's see if we can get her back in here real quick. Yo! Shorty, where'd you go? What happened? 1 second, guys. Trying to get this situated. She like completely dipped out. Hopefully her phone didn't die. Y'all got to start. If I could indict anybody on anything, if her phone died, I'm going to talk about her while she's not here for a little bit, even though she's probably watching on YouTube. If y'all don't charge y'all phones when y'all get on here, it don't look good. It don't look good. If that's not what happened, then that's not what happened. It looked like her phone might have died because even my text message is not delivering. So we're gonna try to get her back, and I'll have no problem. That's what I was thinking. Let's see. Where'd you go? Mine's your phone is always dead. But one thing I'm gonna wrap up, not so much wrap up, but like kind of bring into here is I feel like for me and anybody that does, talk to me in personal life, whether it's on the internet or down the block, whatever it is, I aim to just let people know. Absolutely, big brother. Be good. Stay black. Stay greasy. Stay lotioned. I almost said lubricated, even though I even said it. I'm sorry. I keep embarrassing you on the internet. It's too late. I love you. Stay black. Oh, and mayonnaise doesn't go on peas because Key puts mayonnaise on peas and it's demonic. And like I don't. If she doesn't love Jesus, that's fine. She got to stop putting mayonnaise on peas. But one of the things one of the things that I always tell people is, you know, while I'm here on earth and I'm trying to go to my version of heaven, my version of paradise, my version of my version of the afterlife, essentially. You know what I'm saying? My assignment while I'm here is to bring heaven to earth. You know what I'm saying? It's not to put y'all through hell while I'm down here. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of times when it comes to Christians is because we can't come to the same understanding that we worship the same God. It gives, I guess, like, and you know, those in the comment section could probably agree to this. Sometimes we end up giving licenses to ourselves that we could treat each other like trash. You know what I'm saying? And that's not what Jesus intended. But I could spend so much time, you know, arguing about that and hanging up on that. And I'm really just rambling because I was trying to, oh, she's smiling. She's good. All right. You got banished to the shadow realm.
I'm so sorry.
Did your phone die?
My phone died. I was looking
oh
at
my
it.
gosh.
I still have time. And then it died. My bad. I'm so sorry. My bad. I'm so sorry. I'm back.
It's okay. It's okay, but it's just like I was talking about you a little bit. I was like, look, I love all y'all, but please charge your phones before you get up on here.
Know.
That's like,
I'm
all good.
I'm so sorry.
It's all good. I was actually, I have no problem repeating it, and this will be so much fun editing. I'm not editing this part out because this is what this is all about. But one of the things I was saying is, I feel like a lot of times that Christians mess up in when it comes to like when we're like residing on the same earth together, even though I like to say the earth is ghetto, is that we spend so much time policing people how to live their lives, especially when we find out that they don't worship the same God as us.
Yeah.
And then we think because, or at least what we know, because we always like to make assumptions, at least what I've seen in those spaces, because I never knew anything else but Christianity, at least until not till I was 19. I was going to hell on a scholarship before 19. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. It's all right. It's all right. We need to love on her because she does it. Like, look, man, like look, you cannot charge your phone. That's fine. You can't not charge your phone and put mayonnaise on peas though, because that's demonic. There's nothing you can tell me that is going to ever make that okay. It's as bad as Lyric squishing doo-doo in her hands. It's that bad. Love you, Key. Love you, Queen. But for me, it's look at this doggone dog. Can you get out of here? I'm working, bro. But one of the things I was saying though, this is the most unconventional podcast you've ever been on, in case you haven't noticed. But one of the things that I was saying though is even if we don't go to the same heaven with our gods, you know what I'm saying? And we don't go to the same heaven after this life that we live on earth. That gives me absolutely no excuse to put you through hell while I am here on earth with you. And for anybody to think that Jesus only cared about your eternal salvation and not about your body, not about your mind, not about your spirit, your emotions and everything like that is flawed. We saw this in many, I mean, you said you read your Bible to your kids. We've seen in many instances in his life that he ain't asked him, hey, nigga, you know me? You know what I'm saying? Like, he was just like, daughter, my son, my beloved, my child. It's we've gotten so away from that, especially in America. We've become more American than Christian. And I think that's a huge what you got for me?
I just want to ask you something if I can. I know it's your podcast, but so in your belief, if someone is Buddhist, let's say, just for a suggestion, do you believe they go to hell when they die?
I will say this. I think that I see, I can't even, that's the thing why I always tell people, I cannot spend more time telling people where they're going to go if they aren't a good person.
That's a good point.
For me, like, it goes back to like what I was saying, like, if you don't go to my heaven, I hope you make it to yours. You know what I'm saying? So I think think for me, and that's what I think is the biggest issue, is like, and you asked me that question. It's not that you necessarily did anything wrong, but I think like that's our human technology, is like we think we get a choice in the matter when we die.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
A lot of people,
I don't get a lawyer. I don't get a gavel. You know what I'm saying? It's I don't get hung up on that. And when I say I don't get hung up on that, I think it's because I don't make the rules. I'm not supposed to.
I think that's a great point, because I've never really looked at it that way, that none of us should really be focused on that, because live for the moment. You're here, focus on doing what you can while you're here. And then not only that, but none of us actually really knows. So who am I to sit there and say, this is what's going to happen to you because of X, Y, and Z, when I don't fucking know. So I think that's a great point.
Yeah, it's just for me, I want to have I want to be very intentional on the impact I have on people while I have influence on them in their life. And I don't want to be known for being more legalistic than loving, I guess. Which is why I say lead with love, because at the end of the day, as long as you are doing that, like love will literally take care of everything else. I mean, like, it's not really, and I think it's another thing that like we need to understand as far as Christians, and then this isn't me talking to you, sister, it's people that are watching on the internet. We don't save people. Like, we don't save, we don't heal, we don't, you know what I'm saying? Jesus, the Holy Spirit, God, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, all that take care of it. We get used, but we don't get to control that. That's demonic. Like, we don't save people, so we don't get to unsaved. Do we unsave people? I mean, we could turn people away, sure, because we're really good at that, January 6th to today. But as far as like the fact that we're just so damning all the doggone time, it's like, that's not Jesus. I mean, Jesus cursed out a tree before he cursed out people.
Do you think that, because I see this a lot with a lot of Catholics mainly, but some other Christians like Mormons, for instance, I feel like they get so caught up.
They're weird.
Yeah, they're super weird. I feel like
Mormons are freaking weird.
Yeah, super. They feel like they have some like power because they hold the truth. When, I mean, if we all humble ourselves just a little bit, our truth is individual to everyone. Like, I live in my truth every day. You live in your truth every day. But that's different for each person. And so I feel like a lot of, especially Mormons and Catholics, they think that they have this superiority complex of, I hold the truth. And so they feel like they have this right to dictate who's going where and because of what, and you can't do this and because of why. And it's like, humble yourself. You know what I mean? Because I believe that Creator, whether that be God, Christ Almighty, or energy, or whatever it is, I believe that Creator is love and is intention, and, you know, just taking each step of every day trying to do the right thing, you know, and that's all we can really do.
And I think that's another thing, and we'll wrap up on this because I want to get to more stuff, is like, I think like what a lot of times we have to remember, that God is in our lives. We are not in God's life. And the reason I put it that way is because we have to realize that we need God or Creator or Allah or whatever we submit ourselves. I mean, you say you were in recovery, so you know to submit yourself to a higher power and everything. We need these things. These things don't need us. Because at the end of the day, my God's going to be my God. At the end of the day, your Creator is going to be your Creator. End of the day, Care Bears are going to care. You know what I'm saying? And I just say that because I want to be used. I don't want to use God. That's just me personally. And how I want God to use me is, I want my legacy to be led with love and not be led with Casper and led with my ambition and led with my agenda. If you don't know that
ego.
Yeah. I feel like if you know me for, if you even know me for like, heck, like my music or whatever it is, if you know me for like the things I'm trying to make money off of, or like these things, these tangible things I can come up with more than I love people, I'm not doing something right. which is why I have no problem being like, this is my standard, this is my oath that I took, and if I'm tripping, let me know.
No, I respect it. I do. I respect anyone who lives within the parameters of their faith and what they believe and does so with love and good intentions. I think that's beautiful.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate it, my sister. I really, really do. So one thing, you almost made me cry last week. I got bone to pick with you. You almost made me cry last week. You almost made me cry last week. So now when you like, you went to the shadow realm. So this dude, where'd he go? This dude went to sleep. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not gonna tell you how old he is, but he went to sleep. But he's gonna come back and watch this. So I wanted to touch on this because this really tickled me and this really made me smile. Yeah. We were on Zoom one time, and shout out to Black Girl Warrior if she's in the comment section right now watching this. She brought up, she was like, "Man, the messy minister keeps." I'm not trying to dog you, big bro, but I'm just like, I just think it's funny. It was like, he's like, "Man, the messy minister keeps tagging me in everything, like 10 times a day." And like, when I heard her say that, I was like, "Wait, what?" And then like you shortly afterwards, we're like, "Yeah, me too, man." Like, oh my goodness. I mean, like, and he's always like telling me to calm down when I'm about to cuss body out. So I told you on Zoom. So the messy minister, or I know him as Big Brother David. That's my, he's not my actual brother, but you're not my actual sister, but you're my sister. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
He pretty much adopted me. He pretty much, the man's like a father to me. And you know what I'm saying? I can't sugarcoat it. I'm not gonna water it down. And if I end up ruining my makeup on here, I'm just gonna show your face for the rest of the night, and this is gonna be your podcast. But he has had such he has played such a huge role, and I get that it wasn't him that changed me, but it was his role in God's plan that changed me. He has had a huge shout out in my just upliftment in my life. Talk to me a little bit about this, because I know my brother, my mama, where's she at? My mama, hey mama, what's up, Mama Hill? My mama knows David, because she went down with me to Virginia to just visit him because he was on the East Coast for the first time. Talk to me about my big brother. I know it's only in the comment section and everything like that, but I know like the impact he has on people. Talk to me a little bit about the messy minister. Who is the messy minister to you?
He followed me from like the first video that I made that really got a lot of traction on TikTok. And I just remember I kept seeing his name. And so one day I followed him back because I, felt good energy coming from him. And then so we were talking about how he tags us in a lot of stuff. And I didn't really know the history behind that. But what I did know prior to that conversation was that I had been getting banned just back and forth, for 7 days at a time. And it was because my mind works like trigger happy. Like when I see disrespect or when I see someone just saying ignorant shit, I don't too much stop and think before I react. I just react, and I'm getting better about that. But he reached out to me and was like, not everyone is worth your energy. Sometimes you just have to walk away and, block them. And I forget the verbatim, but he gave me some really good advice that I really took and internalized and looked at myself. And I was like, yeah, I'm kind of flashing at everyone. And if I continue to do that, I'm going to lose my voice entirely on TikTok because I allowed these ignorant people to get me in that character. And so I wanted him to know that he did, because you had mentioned that he wanted to impact as many people as he can. And so I wanted him to know that he has definitely made me think twice before. Like there's even been times where I've made an entire video just shitting on someone, and then I'll draft it because I'll think about him. And I'm like,
he's sneaky like that, ain't he?
Yeah, he's definitely impacted me and made me think twice about just wasting my time on people who aren't going to hear me. They're going to listen to respond, or they're going to report my video right away. So I really like the messy minister. I think he has a good message, and he does so with love, and I respect that.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, like, he took me back before I had a car, you know what I'm saying? It was hard out here for a pimp, you know what I'm saying? For those that watch Hustle and Flow and you're born at a certain age. But he took me to my first show as a Christian artist, and he's never heard my music or anything like that. And I remember the first time he saw me perform, you ever seen Coming to America? Okay, you remember Let Your Soul Flow? Like he started singing that, but he called me Soul Flow, right? And ever since then, like, he calls me Soul Flow. I call him Swole Flow because his arm is literally the size of like my chest. Dude is cock diesel for like no reason. That's besides the point. He says it's fat. I think it's well-placed muscle, but that's besides the point.
Well-placed.
It's very well placed. He doesn't have the hair portion. So I think when you work out, you lose your hair. That's why I have turbulence in my t-shirts. I need my hair because I think I look like Cashew off of the Proud Family movie. I'm not trying to deal with that.
Oh my
but
God.
he is completely like, when I say like he has derailed my life, because I remember when he stepped into my life, I was probably at the lowest of my lows. And to this day, I all credit to God, all glory to God. I praise God for all of it. But for sending this man and for him being obedient, like, I always tell people, they're like, "Oh, you're so amazing." I'm like, all God plus Brother David plus the messy minister, because this man, when he gets his hooks in you, and I always tell people this, he's an acquired taste, because he could be sweet like syrup, and syrup is brown, and so is he, but so is Hennessy. So he hits kind of hard like Hennessy sometimes. Sometimes he's an acquired taste, but man, what I tell people, his words are never hollow. They are never said in vain. And anytime he intentionally talks to you, don't think it's by circumstance, out of convenience or boredom. He is very intentional with everything he says. And it was kind of funny. I don't know if I told you this, but you and me, we established the interview. I put it up on my YouTube, and he texted me. He's like, "Yo," he got all excited. It was kind of adorable. I'm not gonna lie. I put like a little like kid's voice to the text message. He was like, "Hey, I saw Amethyst, because I follow her. She follows me back, and like I send her stuff every once in a while." I was like, that I didn't say it to him, but I'm saying it now. I was like, "Oh, it's adorable." You know what I'm saying? Look at this man. But man,
I really do like him a lot. I think that he is one of, like you say, he's an acquired taste. And it's so funny that you say that, because throughout my life, I have always been friends with people who are of an acquired taste. And yeah, I can definitely see what you mean about that he's just a different kind of person. And I like different kind of people. He's a good guy for sure.
Yeah, he man, I remember one time he picked me up from work, and not to dog the dude I worked with, but I seriously doubted this guy knew God from a can of paint. And he was like, "Wait, you know him?" I'm like, "Yeah, nigga, I work with him." He's like, "Real quick." And he got out of his car and he gave the dude a Bible. I was like, "Brother Dave," I was like, "David, what are you doing?" And he said, "If you think somebody isn't going to like what you're going to say just because of who they are, then you prejudge them before you can establish a relationship with them." And when he said that to me, I thought to myself, my approach to people needs to be utterly different. Because I could see this man literally walk up to anybody, and I literally mean anybody, from a CEO to a crew member, from some dude that's got like got this like big storefront, to some dude selling like ties out of the bag of his the trunk of his car. He will talk to anybody, love on anybody, and he's always telling people, he's like, he says three things. He said 3 things I don't like wasting. He said my time, my money, and my food. because he loves bacon.
I respect that. And something that my grandfather always told me when I was young is every person that you meet is fighting a battle that you don't know anything about. And so people like that who are willing and ready to walk up to anybody and love on them, as you say, or just even just show an act of kindness is so important, because there are so many people who are deeply suffering, and that one interaction with someone, that one act of kindness can change their mind about ending their life or about giving up on everything. And so I love people like that who recognize that and see that their purpose is bigger than them.
Yeah, and I think that's what I aim to do, because I mean, and I think like, you know, this to being like, and I'll follow this up with a question. You know, this to like being in this space as far as like speaking on the things you speak of. This is dangerous, bro. Like you get death threats. You as a woman, you get R-word threats. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy. And I sit there and I think to myself, I'm gonna touch as many people as I can. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to love on people, as many people as I can. I'm trying to impact as many people as I can. My goal is one. You know, my goal is one. With if I could touch one, you know what I'm saying, I think I did a good job. And it's just I wanted to talk about this because even when I was on Zoom with y'all, I was really trying not to ruin my makeup. You really trying to jack my makeup up.
Gotta be careful.
You was dangerous. But listening to you like talk about him, and you know, knowing like what he's dealing with right now, it's it touched my heart, because it's like, I'm so happy that even though the internet is so big and us as just people seem so small, he's able to touch people that I didn't even know he knew. It just
small world.
I felt like I felt like a proud son, even though he's not my dad. I felt like a proud son. So it was just something I definitely wanted to dive in on. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no, thank you. Because being able to hear, like, knowing for myself how someone made me feel is one thing, but being able to hear someone who actually knows him, that my kind of vibe and intuition about him was correct, is awesome. And that makes me even more appreciate what he does. And you do definitely, just the way that you carry yourself, Casper, the fact that you are not, because you know what, in today's day and age, there are so many men who are very like macho, and they're afraid to show emotion. They don't want to because they think it makes them less of a man. And not only that, but you're very gentle with the way that you speak to people, and so you do touch people. Absolutely.
Now you're trying to ruin my makeup.
Cry, bitch. It's like,
trying to ruin my makeup. Hey, yo. Woo. I can't. That was perfect, though. That's what I need you to do. I need you around when the rest of my sisters in this group chat be trying to make me cry. That was perfect. I needed. That's probably going to make me cry because it made me laugh. Oh, my gosh.
Funny. And I felt like I had something important to say, but sometimes that happens and it'll just fly away like a little birdie. Never mind. We can move on.
Gotcha. That was some funny stuff. So, one of the things, hold on real quick. Hey, can y'all like stop killing each other for a second? I'm trying to work. Hey,
my dog do that too.
Go lay down, please, for the love of God. For the love of God. Thank you, sweet baby Jesus. I'm not editing that out. This is good television. But so I talked about like how dangerous like this life is, this space is, doing this work is. I remember now me, it's a little different for me because like me being Kid Casper, I went by a different rap moniker before I got saved and everything like that. So I know like the story of that and everything. I explained how KID stands for King of Development. You know what I'm saying? Casper was a childhood nickname I got all the time growing up. Like I actually respond to Casper before my government name, which is hilarious. But I'm curious because I don't know what it means and I didn't want to Google it. And I just wanted to hear from the horse's mouth. tell me not only what amethyst means, but when was amethyst born? You know what I'm saying? Like this activism, this like strong, I say strong, fierce, bold, taking no BS, no nonsense woman that I know today. When was amethyst born?
Amethyst, my childhood nickname was Peaches until a kid in middle school told me that that's actually a stripper name. I didn't know.
Yeah, I didn't want to tell you in case you didn't know, but I would have waited till we got offline. But anyway,
my birthstone is amethyst, and I, since I've been on my spiritual journey, I am really into crystals and just the different energies and how they can help you with your life. Sorry, my 3-year-old's in here right now.
Oh man, no, this is a family show. This is nothing.
I said no more candy. I said no more candy. No.
All good. This is I've literally had like my business partner's nephew come on here and just sing slow jams. Like you are absolutely fine.
This is Carter.
What's up, King Carter? How you doing today, sir?
Say hi. Can you wave? Hi. Okay, now you gotta go. No more candy. Go get daddy. Go get daddy. Go, go, go. I will give you a piece of candy if you're a good boy. Go, bye. Good boy. Okay, bye, good boy. Okay, so amethyst is my birthstone. I was born in February, and I keep amethyst gems in my pocket pretty much at all times because it's good for protecting you. I'm an empath, so I often have to protect my energy. I find myself taking on other people's problems, and I have to be careful about that because a lot of people are energy suckers. And thank you. And so amethyst is something that I always just have on me, and it's my birthstone. So but the activism part, that's something that I told you I grew up in a predominantly Black neighborhood, and so I was there for a lot of injustice that I saw my friends go through, that I went through, that my dad went through. I saw my dad get beat up by police officers because the woman that he was with lied and said that he beat her up when really she beat herself up. And so I've been doing activist work for as long as I could. And I've been pregnant out there marching and protesting with all 3 of my kids. And we were speaking about it's dangerous work. There's certain things probably that I can't even talk about on here because I don't want to get flagged, but we'll talk about this back in the after party, but all good. All good. There's been a lot of stuff happen that it doesn't scare me. It makes me want to push even further because there's a lot of hatred out there, and activist work is hard, but it's so worth it. It's so worth it.
And it was something that you said there, and I've recently made this discovery. Not so much this discovery. I set this as a boundary to yourself, and you said you need to protect your energy. And you, as an empath, I myself am an empath. And I think that this is super important. On top of the fact that we do this work, so I did this thing, and I told everybody I care about, and I might as well say it for everybody that's watching now, in case you didn't get the message, but. I set this boundary because of something just recently in which I was severely triggered. I set this boundary where I pretty much need I need to consent to you venting to me, meaning I need to control what is spoken to me. If you're in my space, like one-on-one settings, like what we're doing, or like group settings is fine because what I'm saying, because I can control the conversation, but group settings, or if I'm in a group chat or I'm at an actual party, I can excuse myself. That's fine. But talk about how important that is to guard your heart as an activist, as a person of color being an activist, but more importantly, being a double minority activist as a woman of color.
It's really important because, especially being a woman, people will use us to further their agenda. And being an empath, you are a little bit more trusting than most people. And I've had to really put barriers up because a lot of people don't realize that there are white supremacist groups. There's one here in Denver called 211, and they will actually use their girlfriends as plants. And they will send them out to go make friends with Black or brown people and pretend that they are activists, and they'll learn the lingo and they'll learn like the places that rallies take place. And it is to get information and to infiltrate. And so you have to guard your space, and you cannot be trusting with people. You cannot give people your name. Like I was on TikTok live the other day, and some guy was like, what state are you in? And I felt bad, but I was like, I don't feel comfortable saying that here. And setting those boundaries. And as a woman in this country, we are so used to apologizing for being human and being told that we're not allowed to set boundaries.
I told you that. I told you that the other night. Mm-hmm.
Yes, we are never allowed to.
Well, I didn't tell you that. I was saying like you don't have to apologize. But
yeah, you're right. And it's so us women are so used to I'm sorry when we shouldn't be apologizing because we're allowed to set boundaries. And yeah, it's a double-edged sword for sure. And you know what, I have to say that I know that I am an Indigenous woman, but a lot of my fights and where I get my anger from is that I can't even imagine what Black women go through, because I know my experience and I know the Black women that I know and love. My horror stories don't come close to theirs. And so that's where I get a lot of my anger from, because it's like the darker you get, the worse your experience gets here in this country. And it's fucking bullshit.
Yep. I've heard somebody say the darker the berry, the sweeter the juice. The darker the berry, the longer the noose.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's what advice would you give? I mean, you talked about setting boundaries as an activist. One thing that, like, especially when I'm dealing with people that are hitting the streets, are speaking out and being very bold and unapologetic with their stances. What advice would you give to people that are thinking about getting into this work, people that are in this work, maybe experiencing some type of fatigue or burnout? What can Amethyst? I've been saying your name wrong. Amethyst. Amethyst. Like
Amethyst.
I got a mic. I got like Mike Tyson it.
Amethyst.
I'm putting fist in it. It's because you're so strong. You know what I'm saying? And then you said you got them. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that's your name. You know what? That's your name in my phone. That
Chingazos.
Yes, I got. Well, I was talking about amethyst, like literally emoji.
My dad raised us to be tough women, you know, like he would throw the boxing gloves on us and throw us in the backyard and have us throw the heads, and whoever won got to brag and, you know, talk shit. So the advice that I would give to people who are interested in getting into activist work or who want to make a change, stick with people that you know their intentions. Don't ask a lot of questions. Just do what needs to be done. If you want to ask questions, do it on your own time. It's nobody's job to educate you, especially during a rally or a protest.
Hold on. There's somebody sleeping in the back of the church. He's like, they're like wiping the crust out of their eyes and they picking their wedgie. Could you say that like one more again about don't ask what? Don't ask in their time or your time. Which is it?
Don't ask questions in other people's time. If you want answers to questions, you go research that shit yourself. It's nobody's job to educate you, especially not in the midst of a revolution. We don't have time for that. Go educate yourself preferably before you come on the front lines. And also another thing that I feel a lot of white allies or accomplices don't know is nobody asked you to lead. Nobody wants you to lead. As a matter of fact, what we want you to do is use your privilege to stand in front of us, because you are going to catch a lesser charge, lesser time, and a lesser fine than we are. So don't ask questions, educate yourself. leave your ego at the door, leave your privilege, or bring your privilege in, because we're going to need it. And, you know, I would also say, if people don't trust you right away, don't get discouraged. Trust is something that is earned. Nobody's going to trust you right away. You have to earn that shit. Yeah. And yeah, it's huge, you know, because I've seen people come in and it's their first protest, and they're like, oh, well, I just finished reading this book and this is my first protest, but I know what I'm doing. And then they want to call the shots and tell people, no, don't do that. And it's like, no, don't fucking tell us what to do. You do what we tell you to do. And so, yeah, get educated. Don't ask questions. Research and educate on your own fucking time, because it's not our job.
I always like to say this, and I know my mama ain't gonna like this because she's sitting there in the comment section, is I don't got time to breastfeed adults.
Yes, you know what I'm saying? Absolutely.
I don't got time to breastfeed you, burp you, change you. Like, I'm trying to get knees off my neck. You know
exactly. And that's not to discourage people, because I also don't want to sound like need not apply. You know what I mean? I don't want people to be like, oh, well, that sounds like, you know, we need as many fighters and accomplices as we can get, but at the same time, I don't want people who are going to be more babysitting. I'm not going to babysit you. If you can't handle yourself, and if you're not educated on the law and able to speak to police officers, I can't help you. You know what I mean? I'm trying to help my people. I don't have time to help you.
Yeah, because it's the fact that we've had to. I say all the time, like my uncle used to say this. He used to say, and I'm gonna try to clean it up as much as possible. He said, "Make sure you F politics before politics F you," because we're directly impacted immediately if anything in the law changes. So we've had to learn how to survive in this country when other people get to live. So my sister's not trying to be mean. It's not even abrasive. It's a reality for us. So, you know, if I need to amplify her by saying, listen to the woman, please. She knows what she's talking about. And she's gonna punch you in the neck. You need somebody to pray for you. Don't make me mad. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying you're aggressive, but you don't need somebody to lay hands on you after she lay hands on you. You don't need that. You know what I'm saying?
I am working on not being aggressive, but it goes back to my trauma.
You are not aggressive. I don't like that.
You don't think I'm aggressive?
You are not aggressive. You are bold.
Okay, thank you.
That word has been so, and I tell my sisters all the time, that word aggressive, the B word, pissy, moany, belligerent has been used to
angry,
brutalize and a reason to dehumanize like women of color. Angry. I don't like to say women of color are angry. You're a woman of color that gets angry. You are not an angry woman of color. No,
it took me a long time to know my worth and to stand in my truth and in my self and be proud of myself. So I'm gonna be bold, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Of course, I got you. And anybody get crazy, especially if they on some. If they like to hop in, because I hopped in your life for like 3 seconds and somebody jumped in on some Jesus loves you. If those people get stupid, let me know, because I go to school for theology, baby. I got you.
Yeah. And you know, if anyone says that to me, I'm just gonna say thank you. Did you talk to him today? Did he let you know this?
I hope they did.
Yeah, shoot. They need to, if not.
My goodness, that's hilarious. So one thing that I think that kind of needs to be discussed, and we talked a little bit about it tonight, the other night, but I think that kind of doing a dive on this when we're talking about, I guess like space etiquette and accompliship. I guess that's the term that we're gonna go with. So this was hot. This was TikTok was spicy last week. Good God. Like, so when we're talking about like people that, when we're talking about space etiquette and we're talking about accompliship to different communities, Black community to the Indigenous community, we talk about the importance of knowing your place, knowing the responsibility of your words, and you know, realizing like the impact of your words. So last week, we had a really big indigenous creator that everybody knows, Modern Warrior. He felt compelled to kind of insert himself. I'll just say that. Insert himself, put his foot in his mouth, in a situation that not only was it not called for, but then in a lot of ways it came off very in support of something that came off as anti-Black, and you know, kind of making that message like build a little bit. So I don't know what you know about the situation, or if you have any like thoughts as far as like that goes.
Yeah. My thoughts on it are that I respect Lance. Him and I are in the same city, and he does a lot of good work here.
Did not know that.
Yeah, he's my mutual on TikTok, and I have a lot of respect for him. But here's what I'll say. He fucked up, and oftentimes when you're in a place of Black folks are sharing this space with you, which you're not entitled to, and they don't have to share this space with you. A lot of people, and myself included, we have to. Sorry, 1 second.
Oh man, she's about to get the chocolate.
Sorry, my perritos. We have to check ourselves and make sure that we are never speaking over Black people, because that's not our place. And so I think he overstepped. And for me, I can't do shit with an apology. And I'm not that the apology was for me, but this is just my take on it. I can't do shit with an apology. What I can do something with is changed behavior. The best form of apology is changed behavior. So he made a misstep, he overstepped, and now he needs to rectify that and show that his ego is out of it. And so we'll see from here, we'll see if he makes steps in the right direction, he can earn respect back. And if not, then we know that maybe it wasn't as good as it seemed.
So I think like the thing for me was like, we're talking about the situation in which somebody was spitting some, like, I don't know the creator's name off the top of my head.
She said a racial slur.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And then people like, and then there's like other people in this comment section that are using the word hotep, which if you're not ADOS or of African descent, that's pretty much like, that's a diet version of the word nigga. Like, you just shouldn't be saying it. And plus, people use it incorrectly. Like, they equate pro-Blackness to like hotepery. You know what I'm saying? Like the hotep in or anything like that. And I tell people, like, you gotta be very careful when you use that word. You know what I'm saying? And it's because that word is like the original definition of hotep, and I'll pull it up on my phone that's stuttering.
Yeah,
currently
I'd love to hear
right
it
now. The original definition of the word hotep is translates to be satisfied at peace. Refers to offering ritually presented to a deity or a dead person. Hence, be pleased, be gracious, be at peace. So there's like this, I will say, like, there's like this Americanized, because there's fringe examples in every community. You know what I'm saying? There's the Hebrew Israelites in my community that say the white man is the devil, even though that's not true, because if white is a mutation, how can white exist since the earth's inception? That doesn't make any sense. And then like, like I said, I'm still learning, so I don't really necessarily know of any like fringe examples within your community. But people need to realize like how big their words fall, especially on the internet. Once you put it out there, it's out there. You know what I'm saying? And I think what was probably the most disheartening about that was like, I think the man's at like 1.7 million followers, and the influence, the seeds that he could plant into people to think that type of thinking is okay. And even just the fact that like that creator apologized because it was trash.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. It was booty flakes. It
Well,
was awful.
and not only that, but she has made several videos about her take on things, and she literally said that Black civil rights activists are Black supremacists.
Yep.
And I spoke to someone who's kind of in the inner circle, and she told me that what she's referring to is the brotherhood, the Islam Brotherhood. You know what Farrakhan is, and the real Hebrew. I mean, maybe some fake Hebrews are pushing this narrative that natives are the devil, but the real Islam Brotherhood, I think I'm saying that wrong. They actually believe that natives are one of the 13 tribes that are not like from the devil. And so she's completely misguided. She's done all me search and no research. Shout out to Consciously. And she has no idea what she's talking about. She literally has no fucking clue what she's talking about. And she's claiming that Black supremacy is a thing. Where in this country have you seen Black supremacy?
Girl, I'm still trying to figure that out. I got called a Black extremist last summer, and I was like, they're like, you're one of those Black extremists. I was like, if I am, can a nigga get paid? Because my bills don't look like a Black extremist.
Well, and not only that, but she's pushing white supremacist ideologies by taking the actions of a few who have said some nasty things to her or whatever, and holding an entire community accountable for that.
Exactly.
And I'm sorry, but the vast majority of the Black community stands with us. Every protest, every organized event that I've been to, every event that I've organized, there has been just as much, if not more, Black folks there as my own people. So I will not stand for that narrative at all. I don't like that shit.
So I think like the thing that like was also bad about that was like, not only was that apology not apology given, but the apology not apology was given, and then my man Modern Warrior accepted the apology. It's kind of like if I punch Amy, if I punch you in the face
and then apologize to Jessica.
Yeah, I apologize to Jessica, or I apologize to you, or I make a video and then just like, you know what? My little brother effed up. I appreciate you apologizing. That was so good of you. You're going to be like, girl, what you mean? Like, I'm the one with the throbbing cheekbone. Like, no.
God. And you know what? I think it goes back to, as accomplices, we always have to be cognizant that we are not taking advantage of the space that we have been allowed to share with Black folks. Just vice versa. Everything I say is vice versa. We have to respect that space that we have been permitted to come into. And if we don't, we should want to be held accountable. I want people to hold me accountable. If I ever overstep, I want to be held accountable, because that keeps us cognizant of what the big picture is, because ego should be left at the door, period.
And not even that. One of the things I say as far as like my oath, maybe I'm gonna have to write a book one day. I doubt it. I can't hold a pencil.
That's a good idea.
No, I'm not doing it. But one of the things what I say with Lead with Love is with love comes correction, and correction gives direction. If you don't want to get corrected, how the hell are you gonna lead anything? You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Those people make me nervous. It's I think, I don't know if you've ever heard this quote, but the activists that think they're perfect are probably the most problematic.
Absolutely.
And imperfect ones. So I'm always looking to improve. I'm always looking to learn. I always lead with, hey, I don't know. If I am, please let me know. You know what I'm saying? Not because I want to be babysat or breastfed. I'm too old to get breastfed. I'm 27. But I just want to know, because I believe as a people, talking about us is when I see color first off. So when I say us is us as a people talking about the human race, if we don't know, leading with love for me means, if we don't know what hurts one another, then we don't know how to heal one another. And if we choose to not know what hurts one another, then we never know how to heal one another. Then how can we truly love one another?
Yes.
It's all tied together. So I think people need to not only lead with love, but they need to they need to allow people to teach them their love languages, whether it's a individual to individual, neighborhood to neighborhood, town to town, state to state, community to community. I think that is important, as you said, to be cognizant of cultural sensitivity, because we've all been taught wrong, and we all have to unlearn something, whether it's misogyny, whether it's rape culture, whether it's anti-blackness, anti-Indigenous, you name it. Girl, don't get me started. I might have to have you on that podcast.
Along with that, I feel like comes being wait, what were we just saying?
We're talking about being cognizant and being sensitive of like other people and teaching.
So this is the analogy that I use. Imagine walking up to a pregnant woman who is giving birth as a man, and she's telling you it hurts, and you're saying no, it doesn't hurt. Or you like you punch someone in the face and they say it hurts, and you're saying, well, I didn't mean to, that wasn't my intention. And that's kind of how I see these people who say that systemic racism isn't a thing and racism isn't a problem in the US. If an entire community is telling you it is, how can you sit there and say that it's not? You're literally listening, not even listening, but hearing the emotional distress of someone and saying, nah, they don't know what they're talking about. Like, come the fuck on. How can you speak for them when you have no idea?
Okay, so two thoughts completing for first place. First, that was so Hispanic of you to go, ah. that was like, I heard my tia just say that in the background in the Bronx when she said that.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. And two, I think that's because we are a people that we think because our heart's in the right place that our actions are going to lead to the same thing, and that's just never going to be true.
Yeah. Intent over or impact over intent.
Yeah. Intent never negates impact. I tell people that all the time, because I could tell somebody, like I said, just for example, I could say, oh, you look really good in that dress. One, she didn't consent to me giving her that compliment. And two, I probably made her feel uncomfortable and she's going to shoot me in the neck. Like, I might have thought it was flattery, but how she feels about it is how she feels about it. And it's not up to me to invalidate how she feels. We as people, as once again, humans, need to just be better at just being more sensitive to one another. And I think when it comes to this with just like, especially when we're talking about with POC unity, we need to just listen and seek to understand, and frankly, just shut the hell up. Like, it just literally just like, you'd be surprised how much I've learned. Like, you've seen the Zooms. I just sit there sometimes. I'm just like, Billy, you got something to add, Casper? I'm like, no, I'm good.
We have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason.
That part.
Yeah.
For sure. But yeah, I just think that that's something that we all can essentially learn from, and it's just a big example, and I hope that there's going to be improvement. I hope for everybody to improve regardless of who they are as a person.
We all have our own trauma, and so we all respond through that trauma. And so I think that's so important that we all shut up and listen and just try to have empathy for the next person.
Absolutely. So there's one thing that I remember you said this on my sister's podcast. Shout out to Wayward Jessica. Tune in tonight for Not Your Safe Zone podcast. I'll be in the dark. But anyway, so there was something that she had asked you, and I thought that this was very, very enlightening, because I thought that, well, I don't think she asked you this specifically, but I think she might have. I'm not sure, but I just remember there was something you said, and it was in regards of you talking about being a mother, being Indigenous and a Hispanic mother to Black children, and the amount of steps that you went through to understand the world you were going to come into. I mean, you said you grew up very closely and intimately with Black communities and Black people in general, but that you yourself, even in your experience, you still felt, is it fair to say, ill-equipped in some ways?
Yeah.
Because you're stepping into motherhood essentially.
Yeah.
talk a little bit about, and like, because I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was beautiful what you shared. And
Okay.
once again, shout out to the Not Your Safe Zone podcast. But I think that this could be teachable when we're talking about literally putting yourself in a position or putting yourself in an environment that you won't understand. And that's the idea. So talk to me a little bit about, like, I remember you said correctly. I think you said you moved in with your mother-in-law, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So
first off, I used to be engaged, right? So like I never lived with my mother-in-law, my ex-mother-in-law. I'm not doing it. If she's watching this, I said what I said. But talk to me a little bit about what was going through your head, and talk about like that impact not only on you as a mother, but to be a better, I guess. It sounds like in a lot of ways that it impacted you as an accomplice as well.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it did, because I was always speaking out from like a friend standpoint, because all of my friends are Black and brown people, and the people that I grew up with. But I've always also like respected those cultural boundaries. And then becoming a mother, it kind of dawned on me that especially the country that we're living in, I need to learn more than just being a friend, because I'm going to raise, and I knew I was having a boy. I'm going to now raise a Black man. And I was scared, because although I know my intention, I wanted to also get some impact and be able to be the best mom and accomplice that I can be. And so I moved in with my mother-in-law. They're Haitian American, like 100% Haitian. They come from a long line of people that are from Haiti. Well, so my husband is first generation Haitian American. So everyone else is born and raised in Haiti. And so I moved in to learn the food. She taught me how to cook all of the Haitian dishes that Michael likes, because in Haitian culture, the mom is also very thanks. The mom is also like, she does the cooking and the cleaning, and that's kind of the roles in the family, which I was fine with, because growing up, that's kind of what I saw anyway. So yeah, I moved in with her and learned Haitian dishes. She taught me different traditions. She passed things down to me that I will pass down to my boys. Some things I already have. And at first we didn't get along. She is from Brooklyn, New York, and she, anyone from Brooklyn is very, I guess you would say bougie. She, and
white women own Brooklyn now. I'll say it.
Well, yeah. So she's been here for a long time. She left Brooklyn when it was still Brooklyn. But now that it's gentrified, it's totally different. But so, and I'm this girl from the hood, who doesn't like, I remember the first time we went to a fancy restaurant, I was eating my steak like this. I was just, and
baby, no.
Yeah, so
no,
they taught me they taught me like proper etiquette, how to eat in like a restaurant. And she's taught me so much. And through that experience of me engulfing myself in their culture and learning about it and appreciating it, her and I have a great bond now. And she's a beautiful woman. And now I see that at first that culture scared me, because I didn't really know what to expect. And then being that I didn't have a mom, as soon as my son was born, I just wanted him all to myself, and I didn't want to share him. And in the Haitian family, the grandmother takes a very big role in raising the grandchildren. And I was very like protective of my babies, because I didn't have a mom, And so in learning more about the culture, I have become a better person. Number one, I've worked out a lot of my trauma, and she's kind of like my mom now. And so, yeah, it was a beautiful experience. It really was, to be able to learn firsthand how to be a better mom to my Black sons. And she taught me so much about, like, one thing I'll never forget was, Michael's their dad. He's always dressed really nice. And she instilled that in him, because she would always tell him, you're already a Black man. You are already a Black man. You cannot leave this house looking any type of way because you already have that one strike against you. So you have to make sure that you look nice. And so I make sure that my boys always look nice. So because people are going to have those preconceived notions. And so she's taught me just how to be a good mom to my 3 little black babies, and I love them and I love her.
So one thing that, and I've I don't think people understand, and I think I told you the other night. So my mom's watching this. So there were, how do I do this without completely scaring the shit out of my mom that's watching this right now? So there were shots taking in my area, in my it seemed in my direction in a sense the other day. I think I told you about this. And I don't think people really understand. Like, when I say this, like, I obviously know like what women of color. Well, I don't know on a personal because I don't live that life, but I understand what women of color. When I speak of like black women go through in this country, you know, Malcolm X spoke on the black woman is the most disrespected, abused, ignored woman, unprotected woman in the society. But we also know that the black man is the most feared, demonized. He's the most menacing figure in the society, and you know that raising all boys. Talk about what that's like. I mean, they're small now, and they're cute now. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying that, and you know what I'm talking about. Like, you know, like the stigma that comes with like us when we grow up. Talk a little bit about what runs through your mind. I mean, you said that you said that you're like your dad's your I said dad. That's super weird. We're not white. I said what I said. But you said that you know what your husband says when he's talking about, you know, the black experience, the black plight. You carried them. You know what I'm saying? You carried them.
When I was pregnant with Giovanni, my oldest, I saw Michael, his dad, get beat up by police officers. And that was my first experience. They had us sitting on the curb. They had the canine units come. They kept asking us, where are the drugs? Where are the drugs? And that was devastating. And since then, it's happened more. And I can't speak on Michael's experience, but I can speak on being the woman who's standing next to him after something like that happens. And the most difficult thing is seeing that he's numb to it.
Take your time. Take your time.
That he doesn't have a reaction to it. And so I worry about my kids, you know, and that's why I fight so hard, because I want them to be able to experience have a better experience when they're grown men. But yeah, it's difficult to see anyone go through that, let alone someone that you love so much. And I think what a lot of people don't talk about is when you are subjected to trauma and abuse by a person in power like that, and it's happened so many times throughout your life, it's normal. It's normal for him to get stopped for no other reason other than the officer being like, what's going on tonight? And it's like, nothing. Why did you stop me? And it keeps me up at night because I have 3 boys, and it's my job to protect them, and I will with everything in me. So.
And I think like the thing that, and I say this, and I'm not gonna explain you like what it's like, because obviously you won't get it just because you're not us. But I think you say you see it from your son. I mean, I'm jacking words up all the day. He said, I am back. Why did you have to be so ominous when you showed up, dude? But talk. I say in a lot of ways that black men in this country need a special kind of love, because we live in a world where we experience so much hate. I'm not gonna even begin, and before anybody tries to take a soundbite of this, I'm not comparing the hate and the turbulence that black men to black women go through. I'm speaking only as a black man. I don't want to mansplain the black woman experience, so be careful. Don't even try me. And if you try to try me, my Patreon is in the link in the bio. That's besides the point. But I always tell people that black men need a special type of love, not so much that it's like we need to be coddled or anything, but we need to be reminded that somebody loves us.
Yeah.
Simply because we are in an anti-black world that is anti-black men and women, but anti-black, when I say anti-black men, we go from there's a point where we have to stop being a kid and we realize what being black means. How do you nurture that for your kids? Like as a mother, you know what I'm saying? As a mother, like, I don't want you to speak as the black mom or how a black mom do. I mean, like, how do you do it as a mother for your boys?
I make sure that they know that it's okay to feel what they're feeling in the moment. And I make sure, like, my oldest is 7, and then I have a 3-year-old and an almost 9-month-old. So I can only speak for really my 7-year-olds, because the other 2 they're just, they're babies. But I make sure that he knows that it's okay to cry, because their dad was raised that he should never cry. And I think that that's a huge problem. That's a huge problem in my community too. Even for the women, is that we are not to show emotion because that's weak. And so I let them know it's okay to cry and to show emotion, but then you pick yourself up, you wipe your tears, and you keep going, and you don't give up. And so last year, Giovanni came home from school, and he said that this white boy in his class told him, "I know a worse bad word than the F word." And so Giovanni said, "What?" And he told him the N word. And so Giovanni came home and he said, "Mommy, what's this word?" And I said, "Don't say it, just spell it for me as best you can." So he spelled it, and his dad had to talk to him. And since then, he went with us to several protests. He's been with us. But the most recent was we went to protest for George Floyd, and Giovanni came with us. And so we've talked to him about stuff like that, but we never really incorporated like the hate aspect of it, because we didn't want to scare him. But now we've had to, because he heard that word. And how do you just lie to a kid and tell him, "Oh, don't worry about it"? So yeah, I make sure that he knows how to set boundaries. And I told him, if that little boy ever brings up that word again, you tell him that you don't use that word and you don't want to hear it either. And I made sure to let him know that that little boy is not your friend. You might think he's your friend, but he's not your friend. And yeah, it's hard. I let his dad have a lot of those conversations when it comes down to stuff like that. And I sit in, that way I can learn too. But I don't ever want to give him the wrong information, if that makes sense.
I think it's really important. The thing I got out of it and I really grabbed onto was you told him to feel what he feels. And I think for me specifically, and I can't speak for any other black man, me and my brother talked about this a couple of times. But there was a point in time when I lost my smile, and a lot of that was because I tried to be numb to everything. So I just want you to know, like, I really appreciate you saying that to your son, because, and I'll say it right now, it's 27 years old. I'm from, like, I would say, like, since 19, since I've been sober, it feels like I'm feeling a lot of these emotions for the first time, and it is a little overwhelming, but I'm grateful that I recognize that it is important to feel what I feel. And it's okay to not be okay, because I feel like the longer that you try to convince yourself it's okay when it's not, you end up hindering your healing. And as we know, with like the effects of like microaggression, stress in itself, from heart attacks to strokes and everything in our community, it can end up expediting our deaths just from emotions alone. So I really appreciate you saying that to your boy. And I just wanted to let you know that.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, anxiety is really big in our communities as well. And I think that feeling what you're like, sitting and just taking a moment to internalize that feeling helps with anxiety too. At least it's helped with mine. I have horrible anxiety. And yeah, so I appreciate that. I think that that's a big problem for especially men. It's like they're told that they can't show emotion and that it's weak. And in fact, like you said, that's a perfect way. They're hindering their healing.
Yeah, it's you believe it or not, the people that are more likely to get pink eye are predominantly Black men, because we're told not to cry, and the sodium in our tears actually flushes our eyes out. So like I cry all the time. Like that's why when you were saying, oh, you gotta cry, I'm like, girl, I put on some R&B music and I get some chicken wings, I have a sad boy time. I got to, you know what I'm saying? Jesus wept. Jesus wept. I better cry. Shoot.
That's right. It's healing. It's every time I have a good cry, and I'm the kind of person where I won't have a good cry in front of people. I gotta go do it off on my own. But
you gotta be ugly in private.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying?
I'm trying to cry ugly in private. But after that, I feel kind of rejuvenated and like, okay, now I'm ready to go tackle some shit. So yeah.
Gotcha. Well, thank you for that. So we're heading. Can you move? Bro,
so
move,
cute.
yo.
Look, he just wants lovins.
My goodness. So I think so we're heading towards the end, but this is one of my favorite parts because this kind of gives me more of a feel of who you is. You know what I'm saying? So these are the quick hitters. So when I'm gonna ask you these questions, you gotta tell me either or. So, and this may determine whether or not I'm gonna like love you or not.
Okay.
I'm just being honest with you. Just gonna keep it a beanie with you. So these are my quick hitters, and I'm basically gonna ask you these two different things, and you're gonna tell me which one. So basically, like A or B. So, Lipton or Nestea?
You said Lipton or Nestle?
Nestea.
Lipton.
Interesting.
I don't know what Nestea is.
It's tea.
Like Nestle?
No.
I guess Lipton, because I don't know what the other one is.
All right. You better not get this wrong. I will literally kick you out the podcast. I will. I'm praying right now. I said you can't get this wrong, but they're opinionated. All good. KFC or Popeyes?
Popeyes.
Whew, girl. Whew. Okay, I can
KFC,
breathe.
it makes my stomach hurt.
Yeah, I mean, like, I mean, I think Colonel Sanders killed a Black man to get that recipe personally, but that's besides the point. Oh, this is a good one. Okay. If you listen to them, her or Solange?
Her.
Okay, good. You're doing really, really well. I'm just all righty. And I don't feel like there's a right or wrong answer with this one. Michael or Prince?
That's a hard one. Michael.
All right. I wasn't really not so much a Prince fan. I just didn't grow up on his music. So I
love Purple Rain.
Oh yeah, instrumentation wise, he blew Michael out of the water, but performance wise, Michael was just, you couldn't touch him. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. Yeah.
East Coast or West Coast?
East Coast.
Hip hop.
Oh, okay. Hip hop. Wu-Tang forever. East Coast. I'm the biggest Wu-Tang fan ever.
Gotcha. If you had to give me a top 5, and I did this for the Messy Minister. If you had to give me a top 5 as far as like rappers go, East Coast and West Coast, which 5 would they be for your East Coast and then your West Coast?
Dead or alive?
Dead or alive.
Okay.
And any order too. Any order is fine.
Any order. Okay. We'll say Nas, Rakim, Big L, Biggie, and ODB.
You don't like Jay? I'm surprised you didn't say Jay-Z.
Jay-Z?
You didn't say Jay-Z?
I did not say Jay-Z. I like Jay-Z. He's just not my top 5.
Okay, all right. I mean, I hate you a little bit, but that's fine. And then your West Coast.
Okay, West Coast would be Scarface. I think he's West Coast. Scarface, Tupac. Can I say Twista? He's Midwest.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
All right, Twista. Damn, who else is West Coast that I like? E40. And we'll go Zapp and Roger.
Nobody knows about them. I love you. You redeemed yourself. Nobody knows about them. You've redeemed yourself just because they so slept on.
Spice One is good too. Spice One's pretty good too.
Yeah. If you could see anybody dead or alive live, meaning like performance wise, who would they be?
Big L.
Big L. All right. Okay. And if you can, these are my last 2 questions. Dinner with 5 people, with your husband, of course. And invite the kiddies too. I mean, this is your dinner. You know what I'm saying?
No, they can stay home.
They can stay home. Okay. Y'all are gonna be adults. All right.
Yes.
So 5 people you can have dinner with, dead or alive.
Okay. My papa.
Okay.
Rest in peace. Michael Jackson. Damn, I forgot his name. Maybe Che Guevara. I don't know. I feel like I'm
anybody, literally anybody, activists, authors, anybody.
Yeah, I feel like my brain is like mush right now. All right, next question. I don't know. I just know I would want my grandfather to be there, and because he's passed away, and any really dope revolutionists I would love for any of them to be there. So.
Gotcha. All right. And my last question, and you know what? I'll ask this question for my sister because I'm always looking out because when my sister Queen wins, I win too. So if you could see anybody on the Kid Casper podcast and on the Not Your Safe Zone podcast, who would they be? But your answer has to be somebody you can make it happen.
Oh, it has to be someone that I could make it happen.
Yep.
I don't think I can make too many people do anything. I would.
But Amethyst, are you sure you can't?
I could go beat him up. I would love to see T. Nathan on at either of your podcasts. I love T. Nathan. He's done so much for my community, and he is he's a light in the world.
We're working on him for Not Your Safe Zone, actually.
Yeah.
I told Jess this morning, and we were literally hitting him up at 4:00 in the morning. Not even kidding. Could I take a request?
And then I would also like to see Conscious Lee, just because he is so smart, and Young Merc. I really like. Do you guys know Young Merc? Or
I know who you're talking about.
Young
the
Merc.
guy that says a bag of 1,000.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I fucking love him. Yeah.
And you can make those happen, possibly.
I can't. No, but
Amethyst.
I will DM them. I'm mutuals with Young Merc and T. Nathan, but not consciously. He doesn't know I exist.
Can I have a request?
Sure.
Can you get me Lance?
I'll try. Eb is also trying to get him on hers, and so I've sent him a few messages, but he hasn't opened them. So
I would really love to talk to him. Obviously, to lead with love. It's not going to be an ambush. I would just love to talk to him, but I think that would be one as like, because I want to also keep continuing these conversations. Because like I said, I have absolutely, you're the first as far as like anybody from the indigenous community. Yeah. So as many, and if anybody that you do know, they could be smaller creators. Well, actually, I don't like to say smaller. Any creators, if you whether you know them personally or anything like that, somebody like your local friends, I don't know. Heck, your husband. I mean, like whatever you up to you. This is
Michael. Michael smokes a lot of ganja. I don't know if he would.
Hey, I can't get high through my earphones. It's all right. Look, I told you before we got started. I said, look, if you need to smoke a blizzy before you get on here, do that. If you need to drink a little drink, do that. Just don't get naked. That's
but
it.
He would have had to take like a smoke break in between.
That's fine.
Okay,
that's fine. We'll run an ad and everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what the ad will be, but we'll figure it out. But
he has a strong voice, and I would love that. But yes, I will send Lance a message, and I know where he does lectures at too. So I've been thinking about stopping by and just kind of introducing myself. I don't know if that's weird. Like I've seen him in passing, and then when I saw him on TikTok, I was like, he looks familiar. And then I saw that he lives in Boulder, and I was like, I've seen him before. So him and I don't like know each other, but he followed me on TikTok when I didn't have very many followers. So I'm wondering if he's also seen me. So I don't know. I'll shoot him a message and see what he says.
Yeah, I think we're gonna call that episode Hey Colonizer with the Kid. I don't know. I'm already thinking of the like thumbnail. Like I just want to put that beautiful man on the thumbnail. I really do.
He is a beautiful man. He
is a really pretty looking dude, and like God really took his time with him. Like
yeah, I agree. And I think that's why with the whole thing that happened this past week, I was telling Alana, I was like a little bit devastated just because I think it's hard being on TikTok and having this platform, and everyone puts you on this pedestal and they expect perfection, and then you stumble and it's like, it hurts right here. So I really hope that he comes back from that.
We just need to stop. We need to stop idolizing our icons.
Yes. Yeah. Because I don't care how many followers you have. If you carry yourself in a disingenuous way, I'm not going to follow you. You know what I mean?
This man will, what do you say? You never say. You are beautiful, man. What do you talk about? I say you're beautiful black man all the time.
Absolutely beautiful.
Thank you. 100%. I literally just told you. I just took a picture of you when I was at you. I was by your timeshare, and you were staring in plantations. This man, hold on, let me rant about my brother real quick. You know the timeshare buildings that he was staying in, the names of the buildings were literally called plantations. I'm not kidding.
That's distasteful as
I will text you. I will send you the picture.
Yeah, send me that. That's crazy.
I was like, what in the mother African hell is happening?
He did it to stick it to the man. Fuck you. I love it.
That is absolutely awful. Oh my gosh. But oh my goodness. First off, my sister, thank you. This was one of my favorite dialogues. Honestly, I don't know why I have to say honestly as if I wasn't being honest before. But thank you. I had a good time. I was semi-nervous because I get anxious every time I like hop on these podcasts, even though I've done almost 100 episodes now. So it's like, yeah, what did this man say? I own it. That is he's so stupid.
That's right.
He said there is good history. Shut up, black man. Be quiet. And I don't say that with bass in my voice because I don't want you to punch me.
Right. You better not get backhanded, Casper.
No, I can't. I can't. He could literally curl me if he wanted
I've
to.
seen his videos. I know he looks like he's swole.
He is. I call him Swole Flow for a reason. But sure.
Yeah, I would. Hey, anytime you want me to come on, Jessica.
Anytime.
Too, like I said, I have like trust issues, and I've had a lot of friends do me dirty and find out that their heart's not really in the right place. And so I'm kind of at this point in my life where I just have my kids and I don't have any friends. And so Jessica like invited me to the Zoom, and I clicked with you guys, and I really appreciate that because I don't have a lot of friends, and I really click with you guys. Like, I feel like I have found my tribe.
Yeah, and she'll be on the Zone. I'll send you the link, big brother. She'll be on the Not Your Safe Zone podcast tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, I told you when you first came, it's not our Zoom, it's your Zoom too. And I'm pretty sure, I don't know why you're not even in the sister group chat where we just pretty much sit in there and talk about how much men suck, and I just gotta sit there and take it. But yeah, well, I don't have friends either, Jess. Like, I hang out with my dog and my niece.
I won't say it anymore, Jess, I promise.
Yeah, by goodness. Oh, that would be a cool idea. You two need another podcast, but a forum. I would love to moderate a talk.
I would be cool with that.
That would be dope. But yeah, sister Amy, thank you for this time. Is that the hubby?
Is it in here? Yeah, that's the hubby. Do you want to say hi?
Hi, husband.
Was talking about bringing you on his podcast.
Yeah, bro. You look, bro. This may be the Kid Casper podcast, but that you can do whatever you need to do to get relaxed on here. You know what I'm saying?
I was like he's gonna need a smoke.
That's fine.
I think it's in there.
Hey, I have to go.
No, that's fine. I was about to say goodnight to Black America anyway. That's cool.
Good night, Black and Indigenous America. We love you so much.
Thank you.
I'll talk to you soon.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
But bye now. Thank you everybody for tuning in tonight. This was dope. This was a really, really good conversation. Probably one of my favorites. I think that there was a lot to take away from this. I'm gonna have a lot of content to clip up from this. But thank you everybody for tuning in tonight. To end this out, we got a couple of following church announcements and everything like that. My boy Eddie Waynick III's got a track coming out this Wednesday. You know what I'm saying? Look out for, what's the name of the song? Where's the name of the song? Yeah, follow Eddie Waynick III on all social media. My sister Maya, you know what I'm saying? My sister Maya's got 100 subscribers video coming out on Friday where it's a Q&A and everything like that. But do not forget the Not Your Safe Zone podcast. That's a podcast that's near and dear to my heart. Executive produce. I'm not on camera, but I help run the controls and everything like that. And I just get to see my sister shine. I get to just see my sister pop off and be glorious and be great and be fierce and everything like that. But thank you everybody for tuning in tonight. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you share this video. Make sure you subscribe if you're not subscribed. Ring that little bell and everything like that. And always remember, you are beautiful, blessed, and beloved. Raisins don't go on potato salad, and Jesus wasn't white. Have a good night.